All right, fastest intro you probably have ever seen. John here, you there. It's Tuesday. Tuesday thoughts. We're going long. I know this coming off the top because we start Red Clay wrap-ups today from the championships from the last week where you were either in Duluth, you were in Thomasville, or you were at St. Pius. We start today. We've got a boatload of them. I would use a different word, but it's before 10 o'clock in the morning. John here, you there. We got a lot of coaches to get to. We're going long because we got Open Cup and all the other news to talk about. That's going to be 11 o'clock and beyond. Mike Gramajo from WESH-TV. Caught up with him before he had to head into the office. That's going to be here. You're going to hear from Jayden Hibbert. You're going to get news. You're going to get all the things. Wasting no time. No time wasted. Well, a little, considering I wasted a minute 20 telling you about the show. We're going to Meadowcreek. Red Clay wrap-ups begin with Jose Rodriguez. And check out home.
It's gone, man.
Oh, so you, sir, we visited before we came on the air, and you said that you had forgotten that the dew was on the table in this one.
Yeah, I forgot about halfway through the playoffs, and then the boys were reminding me consistently, and I mean they were going to shave you the night after we got back to the locker room. They were going to shave it there, but they forgot the
razor,
razor and all that. So we did it the following day in the cafeteria. So it was great.
In the cafeteria?
Yeah, man.
So they made a public spectacle of the whole thing.
Public.
Oh, where is the trophy, by the way?
It's right over there. I can see it from here.
How does that feel?
It feels great. We you and I talked about this. The emphasis wasn't just to win it. We knew we had the potential to win it this year, and we know we have the potential to win it again next year. But it was to really just get a community together, and I think we accomplished that. I'll tell you this, the biggest satisfaction I got was when we got to the PKs. I knew at that point there's no coaching instruction happening. So I sat down and I looked up and I saw our fan base. I mean, that place was packed out. It was sold out. My wife was telling me there was people standing shoulder to shoulder. Our people were spilling into the Walton area. And just looking at that community just there together. You had people from the 1986 class, 1999 class. I mean, just former administrators, former custodians, former teachers, former alumni, even people from other schools from Gwinnett County. So looking at that, I think that was just this like bigger feeling of fulfillment. When we got the trophy, it was more a sense of relief. Okay, we got to the end, and this is that cherry on top that says we recognize all the hard work you're doing, So it was a great moment, man. Something that I'll remember for a very long time.
Did you sleep in?
No. I was back at work the next day. I had parent conferences. I had a peer mediation I needed to do. I looked absolutely atrocious, but, the parents were a little bit confused, like, why are you so tired? Well, I was like, I had a state championship game last night. So, so no sleeping in.
How has the sport grown since you walked in the door there?
It's just been tremendous. I like to think of it as of, you know that image. It's a pretty common meme. It's like this guy kind of like with an axe pick and he's digging. And you can see the end of the picture. There's like diamonds, and then he's kind of turning back. I think that's all we've done is we came in, we know there's stuff we needed to do. We kept digging, and I think we found that first diamond. And it's blown up, between Josue Mochila Galdames. He's the one who orchestrated the LSA Academy here, and we worked together with that, and then getting community involvement. We have roots and ties to the Dalton area. Our parent coordinator, Miss Alanese, is a mother of kids who graduated from Dalton High School. Her son played, I think, on the first Dalton State Championship team with Coach Matt Chief. So she's been instrumental, just giving us advice and pieces here the last 5 years. And it's grown bigger than just a sport. I was mentioning this before we got on here, but we have kids who are coming back from MLS Next. They don't want to play MLS Next anymore. They love seeing what we're doing, and they want to be part of this because it feels bigger than just the sport. So, the numbers speak for themselves. We've mentioned this before. Over 300 kids at tryouts, and we know for a fact it's going to blow up. We've had many parents from middle schools reach out about they want their kids to come here next year. So it's been a fun process to see it grow, but we're not surprised. We knew this was the potential the school had, and we're just glad that we get to do this.
So then, what is the most important thing in your mind about high school soccer here in the state?
I think the most important piece is that the United States is missing a gold mine of soccer. I grew up in LA. I never played club in LA. I played street soccer. I still remember going down to this grocery store called La Gonzalez. We would steal the buggy carts, take them to the alleys, throw them on the ground, and we played soccer for hours. That was our game. And when we moved to the South, that didn't exist. The cultural soccer didn't exist. So the only way you could play is if you have access to fields. The only way you have access to fields is if you play for a club system. So, I feel like we've missed the opportunity to maximize high school soccer. High school soccer, to me, it is a pivotal tool to really elevate the game. And I mentioned this to you before. Why is it that high school soccer is the only sport in our country that's looked upon as a waste of time? You talk to football coaches, football players play football because it's the stepping stone to college. Basketball players play AAU and they play high school and they have success. Baseball is the same way. So, lacrosse is the same way. So high school soccer is the only one that's looked at as, it's a waste of time. So it shouldn't be looked at that at all. It should be looked at as an opportunity. And I think as it grows, I'm really looking forward to meeting with some coaches and giving them ideas as to how to maximize this and how to make it more accessible to their kids and just make it a community event.
So then, what would you change if you were the proverbial, major domo of soccer for a day? Is there one thing that you would change or update about high school soccer in Georgia?
Yeah, I will restructure everything. Real quick. I mean, I've had this idea for many years. You use the one thing our country has across every state, every city, every county is a clear stepping stone from kindergarten to high school. You go to this elementary school, you go to this middle school, you go to this high school. So why not make our licensing affordable for teachers who would be interested in helping out? And you don't have to coach. You just have to have good eyes. Help us identify players at elementary school level. Communicate with the middle school coaches. Have those coaches a little bit more on the technical side, help develop them. And then as they go to high school, you talk to the high school coach. Hey, we've got these 5 guys who are absolute ballers. We're in touch with the club systems. Hey, listen, we've got 2 14-year-old kids are amazing. Let's plug them in with you guys. They still play with high school with us. Let's, have good relations with the universities in here. I shouldn't have to struggle to connect with, the Georgia State coach 15 miles down the road. I should have a relationship with him. He should be able to come here and look at my players. Again, just like football. Football coaches from all over the country go to football high school games to identify talent. Why can't we do the same? I think it's a restructure that will require a mindset that steps away from making youth sports a money machine. And unfortunately, I just don't see that happening anytime soon, maybe in the future. But I think if we step away from seeing kids as just money and we really look at the successful aspect of it, I think you can take the model we've done here at Meadowcreek High School, amplify it, and I think you will find success at a state level.
Okay, so you mentioned a tie to our next guest, and I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. Matt Cheeves, the head coach at Dalton. And Matt, good morning, Matt. By the way. Thanks for dropping in.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Y'all doing all right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
When I was talking to Coach Rodriguez here a second ago, he mentioned that he has a tie to your program, and I wanted to keep him here for that added second. Go ahead and break this down. I thought this was cool, Jose.
Yeah, Miss Martha Alanis now, so her son played for you, I think, way back in 2003 in the first state title team. So, that connection
That's
has
right.
been really fun.
Yeah, I think two sons that played for me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so
Yeah, both in 2003 and then in 2004 too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I have a great story about those two in one game. Their mom and their aunt, who their cousin also was on that team. We were playing a team up in Chattanooga, the tournament, and their moms were kind of fired up fans. And when the game was over, some of the players from the other team kind of started running their mouths at their moms. And those three boys, the two Vasquez boys and their cousin, made a beeline towards their mom. And luckily, the son Hector got there first. And Hector just walked up and took that kid from the other team by the neck, kind of looped his arm around his neck and took him to the side and said, "You don't want to do this." And I was glad he got there, not the other brother, because it would have gone very different if the other brother had got there. I mean, I could distinctly see them edges off the field. And I was like, somebody stop them.
Yeah, but having Martha here has just been so influential because, one of the things that I just wanted to do when I took over this program is learn from you, Matt, and your program at Dalton and Johnson, such similar demographics. But having Martha as an insider, just giving me pieces of things you did, things that worked, things that didn't work. I think this is why we were able to kind of speed things up here.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's great. And I watched a good bit of your game last week, the final. I caught a good bit of it, and that was really, really great game. Enjoyed watching that.
Thank you. Yeah. I was there for yours, so it was great seeing you guys win.
You were actually there?
Yeah, we were there. Yeah, it was a great game.
That is
awesome.
Absolutely no surprise that you guys would linger and keep an eye on each other's matches. Jose, you know that we're just going to be knocking on your door pretty soon just to talk in general. Thanks for everything this season. We're not done. Thanks for hopping on, batting leadoff this morning, and go get some coffee. And you're going to wear hats now because of that haircut, or are you just going to let it ride?
I'm just going to let it ride. We'll see what happens.
All right. Be good, Jose. We'll see you soon.
See you guys.
Yep. Yeah, Matt, Jose lost a bet. He said that if they won a championship, he told his players that they could shave his head. And so obviously he forgot about that bet. And halfway through the playoffs, he was reminded of that. And so you now see the after effects of winning a championship is that the locks that he had no longer exist. And so now he is cleanly shaven, getting ready for spring and summer months. So, yes. Have you ever lose a bet like that?
Brave of him. I would not make that bet. Say that again?
Did you ever lose a bet like that early? No. Did you ever lose a bet like that early in your career?
No, I never offered anything like that.
First off, congratulations. How does it feel to add another one?
Oh, it feels great. It was amazing. The support from our community just was overpouring, and the guys really had to fight for it to earn it. It wasn't by any means a given, and it's just a great feeling. It's also a bit of a relief to have it finished. Like right now, I'm feeling a little sick. Every time we've made a run like this, when the season ends, it's like my body just shuts down, and all the things I've been fighting off for the whole season hit me all at once. So I'm pretty worn out.
I don't doubt that for 1 second. Just the toll that it takes because of the amount of focus that is needed with the pressure that is attached to the program that has the expectations that it does. When you look back on this season, how difficult was it to navigate all of these things and then come out on top the way that you did?
I think it wasn't that difficult. We had to focus on how we were playing soccer. And I think for me, knowing what was coming, the stress of it, and I focused on one thing at a time, and to work on what we needed to work on, what we're going to need to focus on, and shut a lot of other stuff out and not let it come into the picture, especially for the guys, because there's only 3 of them on this team that were part of the 2023 state championship. So just to help keep them prepared for what was about to happen, I think that helped us a lot.
Every championship is different. How different is this one from the others?
And that's a tough question. It's hard to describe. I think this team made more progress than any of the other team as the season went along. We had a spell where we had several games that went to overtime to win. We had Hiram in overtime, Cartersville in overtime. The first Southeast game went to overtime and penalty kicks, and Altoona in overtime. And some of those were teams that we even mercy ruled the year before. And I think that little stretch of the season was a real eye-opener for us, and we had to really look at that honestly and try to figure out why we weren't getting the result we initially wanted, and why it was much more difficult. And credit to those teams. Those teams were really excellent and did a great job this year. But I really feel like we came through that and we improved. And that was we talked about that when the season started. We wanted to deal with the controversy. We wanted it to be difficult, and to let us see anything that we've got that we can improve that would keep us from moving through. And I think those games, while they weren't what we wanted to happen, they showed us that we had some issues to work on.
How satisfying or gratifying is it to see these young men, 14 to 18, navigate these problems and all of these issues and come out the other side? And regardless of what the end of the season was, yes, it did finish in a title win, but what's it like to see young men navigate this and come out the other side as, growing the way that they did on the field and off?
Well, as an educator, that's what we really want. We want to see kids learn, develop, grow, and have opportunities to have the life they want, the amazing life they want. And along the way, you got to learn lessons, and lessons aren't always easy. And so for me, it's really the heart of why I'm an educator, why I'm a coach. And I just want to see them have opportunities. Same thing for my own children. I want them to have the opportunities to do whatever they want to do. And I think this is a good way to help you get there. And one thing we had to really talk about it was maintaining your composure in tough situations and not lose your composure and do something foolish that cost the team the game or get you red carded. And there are a lot of people who spend their life in prison because they cannot maintain their composure for another 5, 10, 15, 30 seconds. And had they been able to maintain the composure a little longer, they would have avoided a serious life-changing situation.
For those that may not know your story there in Dalton, I wanted to ask this question. How has the sport grown there in the 3 decades since you arrived there in Dalton?
It's grown tremendously. There's so many people there playing soccer, and there's so many facilities available now. There's full FIFA width turf fields around the city. There's the cages. There's just multiple recreation soccer facilities available. Atlanta United came in and put a little field for the kids to play on out by one of the rec centers. There's just so much space and availability for the kids to train and play. And, that's really what you want to see. You want to see kids have a good, healthy environment to go out into every day and do something that they love, and for it to be safe and healthy and not, have to deal with, the elements that could exist that take them down a bad path.
What in your mind
and then
is
the
most
fans?
Yeah, the fans, definitely. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, the fans have grown tremendously in Dalton. And like if you come to a Dalton game and you're in our stadium, and I know you have been, it's not just the kids' parents. It's not just the students. There are 60, 70-year-old people that have lived in Dalton since they were children. They don't really know the game of soccer, but they've come to love it. They've come to love Catamount soccer, and they come out. And it's just every aspect of our community really comes out and supports it. And that is great for the soccer to see all these different people, some who weren't initially soccer fans, to really get into it. And I've been very pleased with that.
What in your mind is the most important thing about high school soccer here in the state of Georgia?
High school soccer is different. You play with your classmates in front of your teachers, your peers, your community. And that's different than club ball. And there's no other experience that people can experience. Like, even if they were to go on and play pro, it's not the same. And I've even had players play like at Wake Forest, football or soccer, and they come back and they tell us, this is special, this is different, and you're never going to experience it again. So take advantage of it. There was a great article in the last United Soccer Coaches Association pamphlet or magazine that they put out, and it was about the importance of high school. And I think that's high school and college soccer have the opportunity to really draw people in and create a really good fan base for soccer that club soccer doesn't quite have the ability. But it's just natural because it's their students, it's their neighbors, it's the whole community of it. And I think there's great potential for growth of the sport, especially financially, as far as like selling tickets. I mean, that does great things for a program, give them so many opportunities to do a lot more stuff.
Is there one thing that you'd like to change or update about high school soccer here in Georgia?
There's nothing specifically to change. I mean, I would like to see us, I don't know, the starting date, the ending dates, we start so early, it's so cold, and we end and it's graduation. I guess there's no other way to do it. But I wish there was a better way to deal with that. I hate playing in the cold. It's miserable for me.
I can relate. I'm right there with you. I cannot thank you enough. Go recover. I mean, go. I can send you my Zycam idea, which has really helped me out this year. It's the first time that I didn't miss any time. My voice didn't die or anything like that. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. I'll send you all of my helpful hints. But if you deserve to sleep late at least one day after having won a championship, sir.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. It's like like right now, the stress that's on my back is we got to do a banquet tomorrow. We've had 3 days to get ready for a banquet, try to get plaques ready, like all the stuff that you get out, have an end of the year video ready, and it may have to wait until we get our rings to really get all of that stuff to the boys, but I don't know. It's always something.
Yeah, we will catch up.
And one thing, and Dalton do this summer.
What are you doing?
Yeah, in Dalton on June 27th, they're having they had already planned it at the Burr Park. This place they have bands and stuff come out there. They're doing a viewing for World Cup soccer. But before that, they call it the Soccer City celebration, and they come out there and do a fundraiser. They have the teams that win the championship from our area come up on. They do a fundraiser for us and just kind of celebrate soccer. Big deal. It's a lot of fun to do that later on and get recognized there by the community. In the past, we've had like 2 or 3 schools doing it at once, but yeah, we'll have a good time with that. Looking forward to it.
No doubt. We will catch up soon, my friend. You know that this is always just the beginning of conversations. Go sit on a couch and go vegetate for 15 minutes. It's always great to see you, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Matt Cheeves.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, all right. There's Matt Cheeves, the head coach at Dalton. And now it's time to tag out. And it is an opportunity to catch up with Robert Peterson. I feel like Ferris Bueller all of a sudden. Mr. Peterson. It's a time to go down to Thomasville and find out what's going on with you, sir. Where is the trophy, by the way?
It's sitting in the window in my office so that everybody who walks by can see it right now. Yes. I actually have the boys and girls trophy sitting next to each other.
Oh, you do? Okay. I know for the sake of live, we were catching up with Lucas later. We're gonna have Lucas live on tape later, and we're gonna play that one tomorrow. What was this season like for you to navigate all of the non-region and the travel and the gut-wrenching elements of the playoffs and come out the other side? How was this season for you?
The season's been different. I mean, I had games this year where I had one or no subs because of injuries. We were, our depth was lacking in terms of numbers. We have no JV. I kept 16 kids, and really everybody who showed up to tryouts got to stay, and you had to navigate. So it was a season of adversity, to say the least, to be able to go through and via sickness, via injuries, via all that stuff, and just continue to grind out a season and grind out the belief that you're going to put it together, and then hit the playoffs. We were still missing one or two starters. First round of the playoffs, we're missing two starters for injury, and they just slowly got back in the second round and got a little healthier in the third round, and it just kind of all came together at the end. You don't really expect to make a run like that when you had a season kind of the way we had it, but credit to the boys. They just kept believing and kept believing and kept working, and now you get to stand at the mountaintop.
So you're there in Thomasville, and it was knockdown drag out. I did not anticipate it would be anything else other than that. The whistle blows, horn sounds, you're done with 80 minutes. Was it excitement? Was it relief? Was it all of the above? What was going through your head?
It was elation. I mean, if you'll go watch the tape and just watch me, I sprinted across the field. I don't remember shaking my fist in the air, but I was. And then, then it's just, jumping and hugging, and, you want to believe it'll happen, but you just got to keep focused on what's in front of you. So then once it finally happens, it's a release of emotion. So it was a lot of smiles, a lot of hugs, a lot of a very, very memorable night for the team, for Thomasville. For me personally, I got to watch my daughter win it and then turn around and I get to win it. And then, having my whole family there and the fans, we came out in force. It was amazing.
What's it like for you to see the sport grow as much as it has? I know that you and I have talked about it briefly in the past when you've been on the noon show, but I wanted to ask this question here in the morning show with the season over and having a chance to reflect a little bit or maybe sleep in for once, who knows. But how has it grown there in the Thomasville community since you arrived there at the school?
All right. So I was at, I think I was at Cairo for like 9 years. So I've been in South Georgia now for a little while. I moved down from Atlanta, and the sport in general has grown a ton because now we have loads of little satellite clubs going on. We have kids, playing down in Tallahassee MLS next to. We have kids going to Tifton and Moultrie playing NP1 and all kinds of just different levels of soccer. We've got local individual kind of clubs going to tournaments. So the growth has been that all the communities are kind of embracing it. Now it's more of a community sport, whereas before it was a very select kind of small group of people. But now there's kids all over the place playing, and it has grown just sheer numbers. And then you grow numbers, and you're going to continue to grow the quality and the individual players and the opportunities. And now you start winning state championship again. We got it in 2019, now in 2026, and lost in the finals last year. So you're starting to see the success of the growth of the sport as more and more kids continue to play.
And in that, you mentioned Cairo and Thomasville, and they're on the boulevard. You go through a couple of stoplights. You go past Maryland Fried Chicken on the right-hand side. You pass your school, and at the big intersection where there's a Walmart, a couple of stoplights down, there's a stadium off to the left, and there's a school off to the left. That traditionally in a lot of sports, especially in the fall, I know Jonathan DeLay, and I know Justin Rogers, and I know what War of the Roses means. But if you mention War of the Roses in a soccer sense, it's not really, all capital letters, bold-faced font. It's that's cool. It is a rivalry, don't get us wrong, but we want to see each other grow, and there's a rising tide element to this in a town that has these rivalries that are knockdown, drag out to it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think for me, when we play, the county school, we want to win. When we're not playing, I'm rooting for them, I mean, I want to see them do really well outside of that game. And I want to see, just the next county over, Brooks, is doing really, really well in boys soccer. And so it's not just us. And I think that's the growth of the sport is, we're winning on one level, but at the same time, the sport in general is just growing and the level is growing, and that just makes everybody else better.
So then what's the most important thing about high school soccer in Georgia, you think?
It's a good question. I think what's it from other things like club soccer, just the community support. When you go to club soccer, you see parents on the sideline, maybe a girlfriend, and that's it. But in high school and GHSA, you get a community, you get students, you get friends, you get people from other schools. I mean, the number of people who travel just to see us play or come here to see us play from other schools rooting us on, it's not the same. And that's what makes it different. And that's why kids love playing it. It's just the everybody coming out. State championship, playing in front of hundreds and hundreds, I don't even know, maybe 1,000 people for soccer is not normal. And the sound, when you go back and listen to when we scored, is deafening, which is just amazing. And that's what makes it different.
And full disclosure, I enjoyed Luke and I enjoyed having that call. It was cool for us, and just to see all of that support that was there for both of the schools, or actually technically all three schools, with Thomasville, and that grew from one game, and folks kept coming, and you end up with all of that support from Thomasville, and then you got our Murchie, and then you've got Model. It's like blue over here and then red over here, and it was really cool to see that kind of an environment there for the last game of the year. With everything that you've talked about so far, is there one thing that you'd like to change or update when it comes to high school soccer here in Georgia?
I think soccer is a very different sport, and that can be a loaded question. I think for the growth of the sport and for the growth of high school soccer is you have now a club scene that doesn't allow kids to play high school soccer with this MLS Next Pro pathway or whatever they're calling it. Right. And so you get kind of hamstrung. There's a whole group of people who want to play more soccer who, unfortunately for the soccer in the United States, the club scene is expensive, right? Whereas the high school scene is affordable. So if you could look at it, hey, we really want to grow the sport, and we really want, college coaches to come to high school, because they go to club. You're going to have to look at ways to expand the opportunities for coaches to coach their teams maybe in the fall. Like football has a spring season. Soccer's got nothing in the fall to help prepare these kids. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a whole conversation that you could have that could really expand access to kids and high-level coaching, and therefore more exposure to colleges and that kind of thing. Because you could go grassroots immediately with GHSA, allowing coaches to do a little bit more outside of season that, you're hamstrung. I mean, I can't, I think it's 4 at a time right now, but with the rules, it makes it very, very difficult. So I think that's a conversation that could be had that could really, really help the sport and really help the level.
And, when you look at all of these things, if there was one thing that you would sit there, if you could stand on the highest point of that campus, if you stand on a roof, over your head, and if that's the highest point, that's the highest point. If you got to climb another couple of levels, then so be it. But if you could stand on the highest point of that campus and sit there and point at the sport or point at what's going on there at Thomasville and sit there and say, hey, you're missing out on this. You need to come and catch this because, and it could be a fan thing. It could be a community thing. It could be a player involvement thing. What are we missing out on by not visiting Thomasville on a game day? What are we missing by not seeing, Thomasville or Class A soccer on the road? What are we missing by not in South Georgia?
All those scholars that are not checked out at this time, you need to go to your third period class. 7th grade scholars that are not checking out, you need to go to your third period class.
Sorry, end of the year stuff.
Well, you're going
to is our atmosphere at our games is second to none. We've got drums, we've got horns, we've got bells, we've got fans. There's so many games this year that I couldn't even coach because they can't hear me. It is that loud, and it's that loud the whole game. There's not a time where it's not just, exorbitant. And I'm, trying to yell at players, 20 feet from me, and they're just looking at me like, Coach, I have no idea what you're saying. And so I would say, that I've had a number of people come to me this year and say, I know nothing about soccer. I'm not sure what's happening. It's like, but that was fun. I really enjoyed coming and watching that game. The intensity, the work rate, the noise, the atmosphere. It's different. It's different than any other school, any other sport, in my opinion. And the parents and the fans here have created that atmosphere. And my boys love playing in it. And I've talked to, kids from other schools that are like, that's just fun. We weren't used to that. I mean, usually you can, you have no issues. You can hear the coach talking across the field, but I couldn't even yell to talk to my players, which makes it different. And you don't have to know anything about soccer to enjoy that.
So then with this tournament thing that's coming up in about a month, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's this World Cup thing that's happening. What do you want to see the impact and the legacy of this World Cup be that's coming here? And you've got, 8 games here in the Atlanta area. What would you like to see the legacy be? Well,
it was here in 94, 96. 96, I think it was Olympics. So 94,
right.
I think it was World Cup. And the interest in the sport. Now, it's very different now than in 94. I remember we were so new in 94. The level players were starting to play, but it wasn't the same. The understanding of zone defense and stuff, and the progression of the sport has been unreal. So now the level has gone up tremendously. So now understanding higher level soccer and what you're looking at, it's increased. So I think the bottom line is just the sport as a whole, and understanding the progression and understanding the model of what it takes to win at a high level. And at a younger age, it's not wins and losses. It's developing skills, developing understanding, and hopefully out of this, you start seeing a little bit more of that. I know U.S. Soccer is redoing their whole club scene, and they're redoing, about 10 years ago, they redid their coaching education. And so it's getting better and better. I would like to see that kind of trickle more into high school and kind of how it's run. But, obviously, like we talked about, we got to adjust some rules and things. But as World Cup, just overall interest increase and overall interest in higher level soccer, and the kids enjoying the sport in general and just enjoying trying to get better. The wins and losses are great. Everybody wants to win, but the sport is just great. And it's the ultimate team sport. And, whistle blows and coach's job is done, more or less. It's a team sport and there's no timeout. So understanding that the soccer is just fun, and hopefully that's the message they get from it.
And full disclosure before you go, I wanted to show off this stuff here. This is fantastic, and this is going up here in the office. This is not the boss has not put this around her neck yet, and so it's going to have to do that before it goes up behind me as a part of all of this. So, like I said, she is going to, and she always does this. She will always sit there and go, "Ooh, look at that," and then that means that she's wearing it before I am. And so, I cannot thank everyone down there enough, because this is very, very cool. It's beyond cool. I know this stuff looks familiar.
I'm going to have to send you some updated ones. We got a third star to add to the top of that.
Oh, that's true. That's absolutely true. I cannot thank you enough for everything this season. We're going to be knocking on your door a lot just to catch up and everything, but it's great to see you. Thanks for hanging out with us in the noon show. Thanks for hanging out with us for in between class transfers and the end of periods and things like that. We can't thank you enough for everything that you and Lucas do down there in Thomasville for the sport. And we'll catch up soon, my friend. Season will be here before we know it.
Oh, no doubt. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, there goes Robert Peterson out of Thomasville. That's one half of the championship group. And so now we go to another champion, and we get to catch up with life at BT and find out what's going on in the life of Johnny Jackson. So where is this trophy, sir?
Where's the trophy?
Mm-hmm.
It's probably in my AD's office right now. That's what I would guess.
You don't get to hang on to it for a bit? You don't get to have it in your office?
Maybe for a day or so. We actually almost lost track of it after the championship game. The girls were all taking pictures with it when we brought it back to the school. And the next morning I woke up and I was like, I wonder who has the trophy. Fortunately, my assistant coach, before he left, grabbed it and put it in my AD's office. So.
Okay.
But I was actually a little nervous that next morning. I was like, oh my gosh. But
when did it sink in that all of the work that you and the staff and the players had put in resulted in a trophy, or has it sunk in yet that all of that work has resulted?
Yeah, I was actually about to say that. I'm not really sure if it's fully sunk in yet. I still get these little moments of excitement and euphoria, over the last, 4 or 5 days. Oh my gosh, we won. That was amazing. Just kind of pops up out of nowhere once in a while. So
our Nick Alifi was part of the broadcast team. It was Nick Alifi and Justin Hanover. And then after the match was over, we always kind of have a bit of a postmortem amongst us all. And so it's like Jason and me and Maddie and Nick, and we're all just kind of talking back and forth. And one of the things that stuck with Nick about Blessed Trinity was that he loved how you played defense, and your defensive setup. The players acted like their lives depended on it, each and every possession, and he loved seeing that out of your defense in the championship game. When I mention this defense to you for what it accomplished here in 26, what sticks in your head?
Well, so we played 22 games, counting our scrimmage, and I think we gave up 6 goals. So you're not going to lose very many games that way.
No.
In the final, we played a team that had scored 128 goals. So we had to defend like our lives depended on it. Our goalkeeper stood in our head. Our top center back, she just had the game of her life as well. I know that they gave the player of the game to the girl who scored the goal, who absolutely had a brilliant game. But it would have been fair to give it to any one of those 3. Goalkeeper, bailed us out a couple times in big moments, just like she did last year too. We could have gone down early both years, and she just came out, and it was it just made a brilliant save. But she made a couple of them this year. She only had to make 1 or 2 last year. But this year, it was a little bit more attack-minded game on both ends. But Marist is so tough. No matter how hard you defend, they're going to get their chances. But we just had to make a couple plays, a couple blocks, a couple great tackles, a couple great goalkeeper saves. So,
and the spine worked the way that it should for you here, especially in the last game of the year. When you look at this season and compare it to others there on campus, what do you think was some of the biggest lessons that you and the staff might have learned, either about yourselves or about coaching and about the team there at Blessed Trinity? What were some of the big lessons that you might have learned this year?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting because, I'm probably going to talk about last year just for a second. But, the previous year, 2024, we won 3 games and finished 5th in the region, didn't make the playoffs. And so they really had no reason to be overconfident going into 2025. They put in the work. They knew they were going to be pretty good. But this year, after winning a state championship, I do think a little bit of early season overconfidence crept in. And, I hate to lose any games, but I really think our loss to Midtown early in the season was very good for us. Because it made us realize that we're not just going to walk out on the field and beat people. We really have to put in the work. We really have to make the plays. And so that was a really good lesson for us early season this year. And just a little bit of humility. And they really played with a great balance of confidence throughout the rest of the season, but not overconfidence. They were humble enough to respect opponents and know that we were playing some really good competition, but they had enough self-belief to realize that they could win any game as well. So
not every win is a straight up A+. And as you mentioned, the match against Midtown, not every loss is a complete and total F if you're grading things out. And so you learned from that Midtown match. Was there a game in particular that you won that you learned a lot about yourself? And on the flip side of that idea, was there one match where you won, you might have had an aha moment, or yes, we're on the right path kind of a thing?
Probably our first game against Westminster. I mean, it was a battle. We came out playing almost perfect. We scored an early goal. We were creating chances. And then Sharon over there at Westminster is a brilliant coach, and she made some adjustments in the second half, and they pressed us and took it to us in the second half, and we went down 2-1. And we actually scored the game tying goal with 3 seconds left to go to overtime. and then ended up winning that goal in overtime, scoring an early goal in overtime and holding them off. And that just really fueled a ton of self-belief. I mean, if you can pull that off against a team like that, scoring with 3 seconds left, and actually that center back that I was talking about, that was her only goal of the season, scored with 3 seconds left in that Westminster game. She was up on a corner kick and ball got knocked back out, got put back in, made a great pass to her. She's still in the box. And it really just fueled a lot of self-belief. If we can win a game like that against a very good team, we can win anything. So
does the 3-win season seem like yesterday, or does it seem like it was 2 years ago?
It definitely seems like it was 2 years ago. I mean, I almost don't even remember that team. We actually had 8 freshmen last year, so it's kind of a half brand new team. And then 9 sophomores this year, and a couple freshmen who got good playing time, but I think 5 total freshmen. So we're actually pretty young right now. So it's almost a brand new team from that group. So, but the ones that were left over, it's kind of funny because after that year, 2024, the ones that are seniors now and juniors now that experienced that, it was pretty bold of them after that season. After winning 3 games, they said, you know what, we're going to win state next year. So that was actually their prediction after that year. So,
well, and nothing like having that kind of confidence, though. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, you'd rather see that than the other side when you
absolutely.
have seasons like that. So then, since then, how has the sport grown there at BT since you've arrived?
So I've been here for 17 years. I coached the boys for about 10 years, and I've been coaching the girls since 2020. There's certainly been some ebbs and flows, but there's a ton of excitement right now. We actually had a great JV season as well. The JV season, I think it was the first time ever they went 13-0-0. Beat all of our rivals: Marist, Pius, Westminster, Roswell.
Folks down the street, yeah.
So they had a great year. So the future definitely looks bright. There's definitely a lot of momentum. Winning a couple championships. So, like I said, we're pretty young, so future still looks bright for sure.
Are you going to mandate that the championship team be on the front of Panorama?
No, I don't think they'll be on the literary magazine. So,
look, you're the literary advisor. So, look, you're gonna write something. You're gonna write something deep and emotional about winning a championship, and it's going to be on the front page.
Yeah, maybe. So my older daughter actually has a piece in the literary magazine. She graduated in 24, but she had a piece in the literary magazine about winning a championship a number of years ago. So it's pretty neat.
That is very cool. When you look at the sport and what you've seen as it's grown, what is the most important thing about high school soccer in your mind here in the state of Georgia?
The kids love playing for their friends, in front of their friends. There's definitely a lot of passion and excitement and fun associated with it for sure. Just as a coach, one thing that I've realized, and I'm changing the question here, is that such an important thing is that belief, that mindset, that confidence, and really that kind of stuff, just carries over into life too, not just into soccer. But them coming out themselves, being part of a culture, representing their school, playing in front of their friends, I think is just it's a little bit of a unique experience. They don't get that in club. So
if you were Grand Exalted Poobah of the sport here in the state for a day, is there one thing that you would change or update about high school soccer here in the state of Georgia?
I just have one little minor thing that just kind of came to mind. And this is about sports in general in Georgia. But I would love to get rid of this neutral sites in the finals and play at somebody's home. I think you would just create a much better atmosphere. In fact, when I coached the boys, we made the final 1 year against Westminster and we played at home. And it was just an unbelievable atmosphere. They ended up beating us in PKs and their student section knocked our fence down. But I'll take that, I'll take that, kind of excitement and big crowds and enthusiasm about it. So obviously I wouldn't wanted to play on Marist little grass field. That wouldn't have been ideal. But at the same time, I just think it's good for the sport. I think it's good for more people to be at the games, especially the championship games. Both teams had pretty decent crowds, but it wasn't the same. So,
and you're having to fight 75 north or 85 north on
right.
afternoon and all that kind of stuff. And if somebody doesn't take Peachtree Industrial up and figure out the alternate route and work their way over, then they may get there like 2 days after the matches happen.
Yeah, my mom actually came and watched the game too. I think she was about 20 minutes late.
Wow.
So,
I don't know if you've heard about this tournament that's coming to this particular hemisphere in like 30 days. This World Cup thing is coming, and you're going to have a lot of games here in the Atlanta area. It's going to be all over television, hundreds of hours of programming, a lot of really cool storylines and relationships and everything. What would you like to see the impact and the legacy of the World Cup be? It could be here in Atlanta. It could be here hemispherically, however you want to take the question. What would you like? What would you like the impact and legacy be?
Well, so I've been working. I worked for a club for 25 years or so, and it always seemed like after a World Cup year, registrations for at least the recreational programs and the younger academy programs were always up. So I mean, obviously, want to see that impact, but hopefully, it being in the States, it will even impact it even more. So we'll just have tons of kids wanting to play soccer, wanting to be involved, excited about the sport, dreaming big. So.
Do you have your 27 schedule figured out yet?
Pretty much. I think I'm missing one game right now in early to mid February. So.
Okay. Midweek, closer to weekend. What day of the week is it?
The day I'm missing is February 16th. I think that's the second Tuesday of the season. So
okay. So you need a Tuesday game. So we're putting out the siren right now. If anybody wants to catch up with BT on a Tuesday in February, we will broker these things. If anybody's listening or watching, February 16th, Blessed Trinity is looking for a game in 2020.
Yeah, double header, boys and girls. So
okay, double header, so be it. And
we actually it's a good day for us to travel because we've got a couple home games early. So
okay, so looking for travel.
Sometimes that makes it more tempting.
Getting prepped for the playoffs. Okay, I see how this works. So glad you found the trophy. Glad everything is where it's supposed to be. We can't thank you enough for being a part of all of our stuff here that we do on a daily weekly basis, not just in the high school season, but in the overall. Thanks for being a great friend to us here at SDH. We'll be knocking on your door soon. Congratulations. Get some rest, eh?
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
There goes Johnny Jackson, head coach at Blessed Trinity. So that's hour number one. Hour number one, we catch up with Jose Rodriguez, the head coach at Meadowcreek. Matt Cheeves, the head coach at Dalton. We catch up with Robert Peterson, the head coach at Thomasville's boys, and then Johnny Jackson, the head coach at BT, as BT has won. And sociable lifespan JRN, whatever. Okay, so you are going to get blocked. First off, you're going to get blocked. And then you're going to get reported because you are a viewer solicitation bot. And we're going to tell our friends at Twitch about said viewer solicitation bot. Solicitation BOT. 23 characters. Boom. Report submitted. Closed. Okay. That's hour number one. So hour number two, more of the same. We're going to be catching up with more coaches coming up toward the bottom of the hour. And the rundown is as follows. If I could find my rundown. It is in the second half hour. It's an opportunity to catch up with Kelly Bowler at Johns Creek, Justin Brantley at Islands, as he's coming right out of class, and then Marcia Thompson, the head coach at Trion, and we get to find out about her championship in single A on the girls' side, because she told me some things that I had anticipated, and it was was really really interesting to see about what's going on with what's going on there with Marsha Thompson and Trion. So we'll catch up with her and find out what's going on there. Those are the three coaches in the I would say final half hour, but we're going longer than that. And then after that, we turn coverage over into Open Cup and to the news of the day. And in that, we catch up with Mike Gramajo from WESH-TV, and we find out what's going on. Actually, tell you what, let me see if I get to juggle my rundown or if everything. Yes, okay. Well, then there we go. All right, so we're flipping the order. There we go. Just checking. And so report has been activated and all the things. So we won't be going as long as I thought, okay, because I just got a note from Casey. She is still traveling the planet and doing all those things. Okay, so tell you what we're going to do. We're going to pivot a little bit, and we're going to take the added time. We're going to move it here. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at Open Cup. And first and foremost, obviously, we got to get opposition research in. And so to do that, it's our friend Mike Gramajo from WESH-TV in Orlando. We caught up with him this morning. We're going to catch up with him before we came on air. So then we're catching up with him today. We're going to catch up with him again tomorrow, and it's going to run in the show tomorrow. So here is our pre-kick conversation with Mike Gramajo of WESH-TV as we get ready for Open Cup tonight. So this half hour, we're going to talk Open Cup news of the day and all of that. 10:30 is where we pick back up with our coaches, and we'll run down and we'll do a little bit of added time, but we won't go completely and totally berserk in added time. So Open Cup discussion starts here. News starts thereafter, probably the last 15 minutes of the segment. So here we go. Here's opposition research getting ready for Open Cup quarterfinals tonight. Mike Gramajo, WESH-TV on the opposite side of things. Here's our talk on the preview side. So we'll see how much you regret being on here in back-to-back days coming up in a bit. This is the preview portion of the program coming off of what happened on the weekend. So for the seemingly 7,000th time this season, it was another one of those moments where Orlando gives up late goals. 75th, 79th, 90 plus 4, 90 plus 8, 84th, 90th. So in the fourth time in 6 matches, it was the 7th goal in that time. Atlanta United scores in the 86th to get a point. What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of hit it right there, and that's something I kind of asked the coach when it came to these goals being conceded so late in the game during these 6 games that you just flagged there.
Yep.
What I found really interesting, John, was that you look at the lineup that Orlando City put out, and maybe you can kind of attest to what lineup Atlanta put out. The starting 11 that we saw against Atlanta on Saturday was the same starting 11. Not I want to say the same, but mostly the same starting 11 they had in that Wednesday game.
2 changes, yeah. Against
Philadelphia. And then it was kind of the same lineup the Saturday before against Montreal. So we're looking at 3 games in a matter of 7 days where you had the same starting 11. And then you start wondering why wasn't there much rotation in the roster.
Right.
Now, this is where I guess you can kind of help me out here with Atlanta, because it looked like Atlanta did rotate its squad. And towards the end, they were able to put in some of their, I think Latte came in late in the second half. Mm-hmm. They were still able to rotate their squad and still get a result in Orlando, albeit a draw. So it makes you wonder, how fatigued these Orlando City players are now, considering you've seen 3 straight similar lineups in a matter of 7 days, conceding late, and then you start wondering if fatigue's playing a part. And for the most part, it may be, because we asked after that Atlanta game, we asked Ivan Angulo, who had the assist in that goal for Orlando, if fatigue is playing a factor, and he did kind of allude to it a little bit. He's like, we're playing a lot of minutes during this short amount of time. Fatigue could be playing a factor. And then interim coach Martin Perelman kind of dismissed that the team was, fatigue was playing a part. So you go into Tuesday's Atlanta United Open Cup game, and you start to wonder now, what type of lineup Atlanta's going to put now? Is it going to be a strong A team against a rotated Orlando team, or are we going to go with a fourth straight game where you have a similar lineup? But albeit this squad is out, you're looking at the possibility that you're seeing a lot of fatigued players, considering how much playing time they've been kind of deployed to in a short amount of time.
Yeah, what Tata Martino traditionally does is he will take his first choice and go with his first choice because he's a present tense guy. He's not necessarily going to be looking future tense.
Okay.
He's a present tense guy, and so you did have a couple of changes. You did have, obviously, your center backs were Mihai and Barakal, Stian Gregerson obviously coming off the bench. The rest of that back line was pretty much the same. You had Will Riley in because of an under-the-weather Cooper Sanchez, and that was the one switch in the midfield. Will Riley comes in. He had a bit of a knock during the week in practice, but he was well enough to go. Cooper Sanchez has been starting a lot recently. And then if you look on the front, Galarza was playing more of an advanced role. He's traditionally that left-sided midfielder in the 4-2, in the 4-1-2-3. And so he was more of a left wing because of the Cooper Sanchez absence. And we have seen recently there have been matches where Tata Martino has elected to have Alexei Miranchuk as that 9, a little bit of a false 9, if you want to call it that. Latte Lot coming in off the bench. So, and Saba either on the left or the right this time against Orlando. He's on the right-hand side. So there were a couple of tweaks, but only one really because of absence, and that was the Will Riley / Cooper Sanchez element. So the hope is that Cooper will be good enough to go on Tuesday, that because he was held out completely, not in the 18, that Cooper Sanchez will be a part of your midfield. I would anticipate maybe, now this is what to kind of look at here. Center back pairing might be the same, might be Stian Gregerson and an Mihai, which would mean that Mihai would slide to the left. Stian Gregerson would be your right-sided center back. Traditionally, Jayden Hibbert has been your Open Cup keeper. So that would be a change as well that's anticipated because we've seen it with other teams. You got your regular season guy and your Open Cup guy. Mm-hmm. So we've seen Stefan Fry was the regular season guy. Andrew Thomas was your Open Cup guy in Seattle. Same kind of thing with Atlanta. Jayden Hibbert is been the Open Cup guy. So starting in net, center back pairing, keep an eye on that. You had Matt Edwards come in, give you the assist, obviously, on the one goal. Would Matt Edwards start at right back? He came in and gave you 20. Latte Lot, would he give you, a start up top because he gave you 20? Or is it Cayman Togashi who came in and gave you 12? So those would be the focal points for me. I would go center back pairing. Jayden Hibbert going to happen. Center back pairing would be different for Atlanta. Midfield would be different. Will Riley, Cooper Sanchez, if Cooper is ready to go. And then how it would look up top. Does Saba go to the left? Does Alexei go to the right? Is Latte Lot up top? So that the front three combination would be kind of where I'm looking for Atlanta United. Does that answer your question with like a multi-tense poly?
I think then there's some similarities there when it comes to, I guess, how Tata kind of approaches his match day roster, because it's kind of something with how Martin. I mean, I guess it's fair to say these guys are pragmatic. They go with what they have and ready to go day of game. And I can kind of see something similar to that going into the Atlanta United game in that Open Cup. I mean, Javier Otero has been their go-to Open Cup keeper for Orlando. So, I would expect Otero will continue that consistent streak as far as being that Open Cup keeper going into the game. Backline, you may need to pay attention because we saw Robin Janssen leave the game with an injury. Martin did not know the severity of it. He did kind of say it seems minor, but to risk any more further, because you have to keep in consideration, Robin is, he's coming back from a really long extended injury. So I would not be surprised. I would be surprised if he plays today or have any part. But with that said, I would see Iago continue to be in that back line, probably with Davi Brekalo, which means since Davi Brekalo is now going to be put into center back instead of his go-to position as the false left back, That means Adrian Marine's going to be that left back tonight. And then if you go full strength, because you kind of have to, because it's a quarterfinal, so you want to make sure you get your strongest squad out there. I Griffin Dorsey would be your option there as right back. But if you want to, rotate Griffin Dorsey and have him come into the game later on, I wouldn't be surprised if Zachariah Taifi, one of their homegrown players, gets in there. Midfield, I have no idea. It's been really. I mean, I would think Luis Otavio would be there with Brian Ojeda. Eduardo Tuesta is probably gonna. He looked just fatigued in that game, that Saturday game. And then when you look at your attackers, Thiago Souza, one of their under-22 initiative players. Tyree Spicer is probably not. Those reports that he's injured, so that would be a huge loss for Orlando in that Open Cup. Marko Pasalic, I'm curious because he is now in the preliminary World Cup roster for Croatia. He played all right in Saturday. It looks like he's trying not to go all out because he's trying to avoid any injury going into the World Cup.
Yeah.
And then Justin Ellis, man, he's your striker, but he's a guy that can play deep. His IQ for a 19-year-old has just been outstanding. But he's been playing a lot of games. I would not be surprised if he gets named to the bench and Duncan McGuire is the one who gets the starting nod. But that's just the way I see it. But inconsistent performances, inconsistent results. I really don't know what's going to be going on today. You can't get a draw tonight, so it's either you win or you lose tonight, and beats. Your guess is as good as mine as who really comes out and gets the result to advance to the semifinal.
Yeah, we're going to keep an eye on it, and I know that you are too. It's going to be a long day for all of us. It's a Daysider's delight. And I say that tongue firmly planted in cheek.
I have a long day ahead of me today, but I'm fully caffeinated. So
yes,
let's do it.
And so we will catch up with you again before things kick in on the normal side for us. We'll come in with a postmortem again tomorrow. As always, my friend, go enjoy Dayside. 2 thumbs up, obviously. We'll catch up with you tomorrow, my friend. It's great to see you and find out what's going on here. Open Cup quarters tonight down there at Inter & Co. Mike, it's always great to see you. And this means that, maybe if I could turn on my camera. There we go. So turned on my camera, and it only took me a couple of minutes to figure that one out. All right. So that is the early intel from Mike Gramajo from WESH-TV in Orlando. As promised, we get to – I don't think I did I? I did not. John – it's like you sit there and it's where are your things? What are you thinking? Where'd you kick me? Where's your brain? Kind of a thing. So we get to hear from Jayden Hibbert on a couple of different ideas. And once we hear from Jayden Hibbert, we'll turn the page and catch up with Kelly Bowler and find out what's going on at Johns Creek and see if he knows where his trophy is. We will ask him that question coming up in just a little bit. So we're going to hear from Jayden Hibbert here in a second. So along those lines, Jayden Hibbert, we know he's starting in net, and it is an opportunity for him to get reps. And he was asked in the match day -1 what he learns from folks like Lucas Hoyos. And so here is his answer about what he's learning from the veteran who is also with him between the sticks here in 2026.
Yeah, I thought I was a calm player, but I mean, this guy in net is like super suave. He says that all the time, like suave. It was just smooth, kind of relaxed. But yeah, I watch him. I think watching is easier, and then for me to ask questions, I'm very, proactive in that sense to try to go and ask if I see a position he takes up in the goal or a type of a touch he uses. Like he really likes to keep the ball on his right foot, and sometimes I get in the habit of taking the space, but I end up on my weak foot, giving myself more time. So things like that, I'll have those conversations with him. So yeah, he's been a great tool for me.
Jayden Hibbert, when he was asked about Lucas Hoyos, and the other sound that I wanted to play with Jayden Hibbert, play for you about Jayden Hibbert, he was asked about opportunities and continuing to try and impress, getting the starts in the Open Cup matches, what this season has been like for him as he's been challenging for the number one slot, but at the same time being between the sticks in Open Cup. And so here's Jayden's answer on that.
I would say I don't want to say ups and downs. You know, obviously coming to the season trying to compete for a spot, feeling that I've ended the previous season well, and you know, things of that nature. But I take every day with the mindset of trying to improve. I'm trying to get better and do anything I can to help the team. In doing so to get me on the field. And if that comes sooner than later, great. If it doesn't, you know, I'm going to be doing the same thing every day to try to get there.
It seems like those opportunities are coming in the Open Cup in particular. Is it difficult to kind of immediately enter the starting lineup like that, just in these kind of brief appearances?
No, it's not. It's not difficult. I would say I'm eager to get any opportunity I can, you know, any sniff of the pitch, you know, I'm gonna take my opportunity with two hands, and I'm gonna, you know, grab it. So I'm grateful for any opportunity that comes, and I'm always prepared.
Jayden Hibbert getting a start tonight between the sticks for Atlanta United in the U.S. Open Cup quarterfinals against the Purple team, and that is coming up 7:33, I think, is the start time. Pre-game 92.9 the game in the Odyssey app. 6:30 it is Maddie and Abe from the Colony Square Studios. Mike and Jason will be at Inter & Co. in Central Florida as Atlanta United takes on Orlando, otherwise known as the Purple team. So now that we put a bookmark there, we look at the other matches coming up in a bit. Kelly Bowler, head coach at Johns Creek, he's joining us now. And so it's an opportunity to catch up with Kelly. And, sir, if you would be so kind.
Yes, sir.
Where is your trophy?
Hasn't left my side.
Because we've had coaches on this morning. Johnny Jackson had a moment of, oh my gosh, where is it? Because all the players had it after they won for Blessed Trinity, and he kind of lost mental track of it.
Yeah.
Next morning, he's like, where is it? And when his assistant told him, "Oh, it's with the AD in his office," then all the color returned to Johnny's face. Both the Thomasville trophies are in Robert Peterson's office, and I'm trying to think of where Jose Rodriguez over at Meadowcreek. He was staring at his trophy when he was talking to us batting leadoff this morning. So it has not left your side the entire time.
No, it is not. And I kept my eye on it throughout the whole celebration to make sure nobody dropped it or anything like that. The thing is precious to me. So I wouldn't let them harm it. So
did you sleep in the next day?
I didn't sleep for 36 hours at least.
Really?
No, yeah. I was pretty wound up. So I was wide awake. I was laying on the couch at about 6 a.m. watching TV still, and decided I'd get up and bring bagels for my whole department at school because they all showed up to the state championship game. So just still riding the high a little bit.
How many times have you seen the match after it was over? How many times have you watched the whole thing?
Probably twice. I love listening to your guys' call of everything. Jason and Maddie did a great job that day. And so I don't know, it was a pleasure to watch. Some moments in there were a little bit scarier than others, but for the most part, I felt like we dominated that game, and I was pretty happy with it.
I was going to ask, were you picking up things in the replays that you didn't pick up in real time when you're watching it for the second and the third time? Did you realize?
I think I didn't realize how much, I guess, we probably dominated in the first half. That was like we really controlled the game in the first half. We missed a couple of absolute sitters in the second half, right at the start, and one a little bit later in the half that I thought really could have blown the game open for us and made things a little bit more comfortable. Another thing I was very impressed with, our back line was excellent in the game. And so sometimes that goes overlooked, in the moment of the game, like noticing stuff defensively. And I also thought our sophomore that came off the bench, Caden Carey, every time I watched that back, he had just a phenomenal game off the bench. He was just dominating when he got out there. So I think those were things I picked up on after the game.
When everything is over and postseason rankings, national rankings are what they are. How difficult is it to finish the season as the top ranked team in the country?
Well, so we're number one on Max Preps and
Right.
number one on United Soccer Coaches as well. Obviously, we've had teams chasing us down. I think the most difficult thing is you get this lead, and then Tennessee and South Carolina are still playing. So Wando in South Carolina might catch us. I don't know. They still got a semifinal and a final. I was looking this morning. But they are 4 points behind us, so it'd be a lot to make up. I don't know how much ground you can make up in 2 games, but if we finish number one nationally, I'm claiming a national championship. That's for sure.
Hey.
So I'm going to have another trophy made,
Get that and a banner and
no
the
doubt.
T-shirts and the national championship gear that gets distributed at Johns Creek High School. I mean, that to me, that is its own clothing line. I mean, that's literally, that's what, then you got to get the flag, because at the beginning of the 27 season, you got to raise the banner, and then you got to have the flag. It's like you'll have like at the flagpole, it'd be like what, the American flag, then the national championship flag, and then if there's a Johns Creek or a City of Johns Creek flag from City
Probably Georgia flag up there somewhere.
So it's be a very crowded flagpole come 27.
Yeah.
The championship banners and all that kind of stuff. But how hard is that?
I think we would be runaway number one had we not lost the one game against Alpharetta. I think we would, we'd probably be already settled. But we were number one for a while, and then we got passed, and then we went back to number one, and we've stayed number one in the nation for a while. To not, make a mistake at some point or have a game go against us, easily that Milton game could have gone against us. Wasn't our best game. The Milton coach, Coach Meenan, said it was their best game. So it was not a good night to have our worst game. Stuff like that, but surviving each one of those is pretty impressive and shows a lot of experience out of the boys. Because for the most part, we didn't have a game. And I think Maddie was talking about it, or Jason on the call. We didn't have a game, or we only had 2 or 3 games that were decided by 2 goals or less. Mm-hmm. So most games we won by 3 goals or more. So, we were pretty dominant during the season. That's obviously more a product of the players. We have a lot of quality players here at Johns Creek right now. But I felt like we did a good job getting them ready every game and telling them where the weaknesses were and what we needed to do to slow teams down. When we scored 110 goals this season and allowed 12, that's pretty impressive. So
yes. I swear, every time you and I have conversations, mm-hmm. literally all the matches that we've been a part of, all I see is this Samak Leao highlight reel that blows through my brain each and every time. When you look at the lessons from 26, is there one lesson that you and the staff take from this season, from everything that was learned from a coaching perspective and an on-the-field perspective? Is there like one big lesson that you can file away in the Kelly Bowler coaching manual that's like, I'll remember this, for future reference?
I will tell you, I think one of the things that we've realized over the past few years during our runs is that you have to have a dominant center back to win a state title. Mm-hmm. We played against Sprayberry last year, and I thought, Sprayberry was right there, obviously, with River Ridge, and they had played each other twice during the season. Sprayberry won the first matchup and then lost the second one, even though they were up 2 goals with like 15 minutes to go. So Sprayberry was a very dominant team, and they had a very dominant center back. And at the end of our playoff run last year, Martin Sosa came to me and said, "Coach, just put me at center back so we can win a state title." He's the best 6 in the state, in my opinion. But he also had watched and learned and seen that, teams with dominant center backs really do come through. I look at Meadowcreek, watch their game, their center back, I think his name is Lola. Mm-hmm. He's a phenomenal center back, right? You have to have that. Even Walton had that, Alex Cook. To be able to get to that point, you have to have that dominant center back, and Martin Sosa, stepping back there and being that dominant center back, and to take nothing away from Daniel Wyborn, who was an exceptional partner for him too. You just have to have that to be able to win a state title. You have to have that person to rely upon when the games do get tight, when they are tough, when you are going against, an all-world striker, in the state of Georgia, you've got to have that guy. So that was one of the things that I definitely learned. Obviously, both my state finals runs have also been with a ton of seniors. You're only as good as your senior class, in my opinion. If your seniors are good and they're good leaders, you can go a long way. The year we went to the state final in 2021 and lost to Dalton, we had 9 seniors, and they were all just beasts. There were only like 3 or 4 ECNL players in it, but all of them had this mentality that nobody was going to beat them. And then this year I had 11 seniors, and they just all came together with the one goal to win a state title. So.
And you mentioned those seniors, and a lot of them, to me, to borrow the American football analogy, they come across as almost like offensive linemen, where if you're talking about a Bennett Perot, you're talking about an Arav Rambia, Caden, when he pops into the situation, obviously he's a sophomore in this, but you look at, you look at somebody like a Ryan Gottschalk, you mentioned Martin Sosa, and all of these dudes, a Jacob Barrett, a Hubert Keenanoff who comes in off the bench for you, Wyborn who just kind of quietly goes about his business, Owen Tebby who comes in as a sub and calms things down at the back.
Yep.
All of these dudes, all of them are seniors, but they're not the headline guys, but they were just as important in this run for you as that senior class to get this title this year.
You gotta have the guys that fill every role. Like not everybody's gonna score goals and get assists. Arav was our 6, and pretty much every high school team in the state puts their best player at the 10. No matter what position they normally play, they'll throw them in there to the 10. So Arav, and he's only guested with ECNL teams. He's an ECRL player, but he is just relentless and he works tirelessly, and he just stuck to other teams attacking mids like glue. And twice he had to go against Bennett Van Gilder from River Ridge, who's an exceptional player. And both games, we won the first game 3-0, and then we won the second game 2-0. So Bennett didn't do anything against Arav, and he's a great player. So taking nothing away from that, that's just the job that Arav did. Bennett Perot, and I said this in an interview on Score Atlanta on their weekly show, their high school sports show. Bennett Perot is not a game-breaking player. He's not he's not Samak Liao, who's on the left. Bennett's on the right, and he's actually a center midfielder, but we played him on the right and told him to just invert and just come inside into the half spaces, which would allow Jacob Barrett, who in my opinion is the best outside back in the state, bar none, to get forward. And you see his stats, like those stats are unreal for an outside back. I think he's got like 6 goals, 7 assists, something like that. And he creates between Bennett and Jacob, he creates what we have on the left with Samak, and so you have to have those unsung heroes, those people that are in there that, aren't going to get all the attention, all the credit, aren't going to put up all the numbers, aren't going to make first team all region. But they did their job. Hubert had to start in the state final. He's had a few starts this year, but in the state final, he had his best game. He worked his tail off because he wanted to go out there and do his part to, help lock down a state championship for Johns Creek. So you've got to have those kids.
Super sub almost. He's like the microwave with Hubert Keenanoff. He comes in, you instantly you hit play and it's all good to go. We have had this question on the noon show before, but I wanted to ask it in this purview. When it comes to the sport there and in the Johns Creek community, how has it grown in your time there at Johns Creek?
It's become, in my opinion, and probably nobody from other sports are going to listen to this anyway because it's a soccer show, but so I'm not going to offend anybody probably, but Johns Creek has become the marquee team sport at Johns Creek. We're the kind of, so right now we're the kind of the model group. Our girls soccer team won a state title back in 2021. We went to the state final in 2021. We lost. We played back-to-back that day. And then our soccer program has been to the Final Four 3 times since then. And then we won a state title this year. And so now, our football team is having to rebuild. They're not great. They're having to rebuild. We got a new coach. He's doing a great job. Our basketball program had its best year ever, and got knocked out in the first round of the playoffs though. And so the soccer program is really setting the bar, both on the boys and the girls side, in my opinion. And so, soccer is a big thing up here. I mean, we've got clubs all around us. Atlanta Fire United is less than a mile away as the crow flies. Concord Fire North is up here. NASA Milton is up here. We've got UFA that's only a few miles away. We're kind of in a soccer hotbed up here. So, and that's why the Forsyth schools are always good. That's why the North Fulton schools are always good, because we've got club soccer all around us.
So then, in your mind, what's the most important thing about high school soccer in the state of Georgia?
I saw your guys' article about it that you guys posted. I was kind of sad to be left out of it in there, but I think you're absolutely right. The high school soccer in this state, I think, is the most exciting thing around. Like, if you went to those state final games, and that was kind of what the article was about, was the excitement in and around those state final games. I played against Dalton. Your article was mentioning how they packed the Duluth Stadium, which is an hour and 45 minutes from their school, and they packed it. I played Dalton in the state final at McEachern High School, and they showed up with 7 fan buses, like, it was insane. I've never seen anything like that. And so I couldn't even hear. They had the benches at McEachern on the side with the fans. I couldn't hear myself think. And I was getting absolutely roasted the entire game by the fans, which was quite entertaining. But at the same time, I was trying to coach a game. And then we packed that place at Duluth. I mean, I know you weren't on the call for the Duluth or for our state championship game, but like, our whole side was packed.
I was watching, brother.
Yeah, and we had a whiteout, and you could tell, like, our students came out and represented, and it is so exciting. And last year, our Final Four game against Sprayberry here, we sold more tickets for that than we did for any football game in the last 2 years. So it was one of the most packed events we've ever had in Johns Creek history. So this is like soccer. If the months of February and March weren't so cold occasionally, right, I think we would have fans all year. But by the time we get to the warm weather, it is absolutely like we start getting tons of students, tons of fans. We get into the playoffs. Our Habersham Central game had a ton of fans. Our Woodward game had a ton of fans. And then we went down to Decatur, and that place was packed too. You were at the Decatur game. It was so loud in there. So again, I think high school soccer is so much fun. I had Eden Gitman, who's my sophomore left back, and he plays NASA ECNL, right? And he came from UFA ECNL before that. He's like, Coach, I've never played in front of this many people in my life. Like, this is crazy. And I was like, and you probably never will. Unless you play on the national team or you play professionally, you're never going to play in front of crowds like this. You go to club games, and it's just the parents on the sideline, and maybe a college coach or two. But there's no atmosphere or anything like that. So I do think high school soccer is, to me, the most exciting part of a high school player's career, because club soccer, while it's fun and while it's where they get recruited and, they travel all over the place, high school soccer has the environment that you just don't get anywhere else. So
your grand exalted poobah for soccer for a day here in the state of Georgia. You are standing on the highest mountain. You've got the crown, the scepter, the whatever, you got the cool robe with the velour and the leopard print trim and the whole thing.
Yeah.
Is there one thing you'd like to change or update about high school soccer here in the state of Georgia?
I don't know. I mean, I think it runs pretty well. I think the power rankings will probably help with the playoff matchups. Sometimes you end up playing teams in rounds where you're like, wait a second, this should be like a later round game. Our region, our region geographically kind of gets screwed every year because we're right in the middle of the northern part, right? So one year they send us west, so we get the Riverwood, Sequoia, River Ridge, region. So it's the two regions of death, in my opinion, have to play each other. And then this year they were like, okay, now you're going to go east and kind of south. And our first round matchup was against the Woodward, Decatur, Dunwoody, all that region. And I'm like, that's not like a prize, while and again, there's nothing they can do about it, but the River Ridge region got like Coffee and Lee County and like schools like that. And I'm like, that's not, that to me I would fix that, the playoff seeding. I would probably rank the teams 1 through 32, which I think in theory is what the power rankings are supposed to do. But I think that would make for a more true playoff, in my opinion, because you get teams knocked out early in the playoffs that probably shouldn't be, in my opinion. Last year's first round game against Sequoia, that team was very good. And we barely beat them. We beat them 1-0. And then we had to go to McIntosh. Then we had to go to Rome. That's, to me, that's just a brutal path for anybody to have to go through, while other teams are playing teams they're beating 8-9-0.
Yeah. We see that rota a lot, where you're in quadrants and you're assigned, and then it rotates out, and you sit there and go, okay, that needs to be either a semifinal or a final, and it's in the quarters just to get out of that bracket.
Yeah.
Your 27 schedule, how's Creek Cup coming along?
Creek Cup has 16 boys teams in it, and 12 girls teams in it. In it are more than one state champion. I can tell you that right now, because Islands is back in it. They're in my bracket. I may regret this. And Greenbrier girls are in it. And then my team obviously is in it. So the Creek Cup is looking real good, real strong. We've got a lot of local teams in it. Milton, Chattahoochee, Northview, all their boys and girls are all in it. So it's turning into a very, very big thing. Silverbacks came back in as our sponsor again, Silverbacks Park. So they're going to come back in and sponsor us for the next 2 years. So we're super excited about that. And are very appreciative of Silverbacks Park for that. Just super excited about that. And then, I'm trying to play the PSR game. I won't make any secret about it. I'm scheduled most of my games on the road, to get bonus points for road games. I think we're only at home 7 times next year, and we're on the road for, or neutral for the other 11. So, it'll be a road heavy schedule, but it's the PSR game. You're trying to pick up the points. You're trying to get extra credit for getting, road games and wins on the road. I scheduled a weekend doubleheader where we'll go down and play Colquitt County on Friday night, and then the next day we'll play at Lee County. And so going on the road, trying to pick up wins, also trying to give the players an experience. I told them about it, and they were like, "Oh, that's awesome! An overnight trip, that'll be fun." We do that a lot for club, but we don't do it a lot for high school outside of going to Jekyll every year. So they're kind of excited about that. So those kinds of things.
This is just me not knowing the answer to this. When you go down to Colquitt, do they play at the Hog Pen, or do they have a separate soccer field?
I don't know. So we were always confused. Like we had to play Valdosta in the playoffs a few years ago, actually back in 2021. And my coaches drove down to scout their game because they played the night after us in the playoffs. And at Valdosta, they don't play in their school stadium. They play in like the city stadium or something. And so they were in 2 different places and ended up having to, miss the first 15 minutes of the game because they showed up in the wrong spot. I've never been to Colquitt County. This will be my first trip there. I've been to Lee County. I know they play in their amazing stadium, that's had a bunch of money put into their field house and stuff like that overlooks the stadium. So I think the kids will be pretty impressed by that. So it'll all be a pretty new experience for me. I've never made a road trip like this, during the season. So, but it's exciting for the kids. I try to change it up. I don't like to play the same teams over and over and over again and do the same things over and over and over again because it gets monotonous and the kids are like, oh, we're playing this team again. I want to play new people. I want to have new experiences, see new stadiums, that kind of stuff. So
my last question for you, and before I sign off with you, obviously we can't thank you enough for everything that we get to do that you and everybody there at Johns Creek lets us do. Basically, we get to hang out with you, and we can't thank you enough for that. When it comes to this World Cup thing, it's coming up in about a month. What do you want to see the impact and the legacy of the World Cup be once it goes away in 2 months' time?
I am concerned that the U.S. national team or the status of the U.S. national team is going to hurt what the impact could be. I'm not all that inspired by the team I cheer for the most, which is the U.S. national team lately. I'm hoping they do, they surprise us and they do more damage than they've looked like recently, but I'm not holding my breath, if that makes sense.
It does.
I think if we had, not only if we were hosting it, but if the U.S. made a deep run, that would have a profound impact on soccer in the United States. Now, that's not to say, we're a very international country. There's a lot of people here from different places. So it's going to be huge. I think the impact is still going to be, very big. I will tell you, like, what brought me back into soccer was 1994's World Cup. It really brought me back into it. I had kind of faded in my love of it, and then I was all back in, and never left it after that point. And so I feel like the World Cup can have a very, very big impact on young kids, and can really inspire them and make them excited for the game and make them love and appreciate the game. I wish we had better soccer specific stadiums. I don't love the football stadiums for soccer. It's never the most perfect environment. But it is what it is. And I think it'll be pretty amazing. I have World Cup tickets, but I had to buy the cheapest ones. I'm not very rich. So I had to buy the Uzbekistan Congo game here in Atlanta, but it's a World Cup game. So, is what it is. It may not be, Messi or Ronaldo, but is what it is.
Sicko's Delight, DR Congo and Uzbekistan on the 27th of June. That one's going to be a fun one at Atlanta Stadium. And obviously, we're looking forward to it. Where'd you go to high school, by the way?
I went to Glendale High School in Springfield, Missouri. So,
okay.
So I went to Missouri State in Springfield. So,
okay. Yep. Now it makes sense with all the Missouri State.
All the Missouri State tweets. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
You gotta live through that if you follow me on Twitter.
Yes. I was. It's like, what's the connection? Now I know.
Yeah. I was born and raised a Missouri State fan, so it's in my blood. So,
and I imagine that you probably go to their bowl games when it comes.
I was trying to go to their bowl game. It didn't happen, but I wanted to go. I wanted to go badly, but they did lose. So I'd probably been very furious by showing up.
Get out of the way!
I'm driving all the way to Frisco, Texas to watch them lose.
Yeah. So. As always, my friend, it's great to see you.
No, I greatly appreciate everything you guys do. You always have me on. You guys follow Creek Cup. You broadcast Creek Cup. You've broadcast a lot of games over the last few years. I really appreciate everything you guys do. So thank you so much.
Oh, wait, is he here? Oh, he's here. Oh, actually, hang on. Where is it?
What's up?
See. Oh, since you were talking about that particular tournament that you're hosting, our next guest, by the way, is the guy in your bracket.
That's my guy,
Brantley.
What's up, Coach? How are you?
How you doing, man? He Mr. Brantley texted me the day of his state championship game, and he said we got to both bring home our first state championships. He texted me that very thing, and then he went out and beat up on East Hall, and then the next night I turned around and beat River Ridge, and we both brought him home. So I appreciated the encouraging text.
Absolutely, man. It's been a long journey. I feel like since our trip up north, but man, it's been an exciting one for sure.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Well, Kelly, as always, thanks, my friend. We'll catch up with you soon, and we'll definitely be knocking on your door pretty quick.
Congrats, Brantley.
It's good to see you, Coach. Yeah, you as well.
All right, there goes Kelly Bowler, hot tag to Justin Brantley out of Islands, and yeah, we were talking Creek Cup and schedules and things, and he said, yeah, I was piecing together the boys' side of Creek Cup for 27, and Islands is in my bracket. And I think he was instantly ruining that decision. So, like I said, we were getting a little bit of intel on that. We're catching up with the championship coaches across the board. My first question to you, sir, is where is the trophy?
It is already in the trophy cabinet at our school. We are actually the day after. Well, so Tuesday was obviously the state championship game. Wednesday, we didn't get back in until I didn't get back to my house until 5 a.m. So. Long night. And so the next day we had off, which was that Wednesday. Thursday rolled around, and I get a text. We have to be at school at 7 o'clock. I get a text from our athletic director at like 8:30, and he's like, hey, come down to the gym real quick. I need to see you. And so I walk down there, and he's cleared out the entire trophy cabinets, and he's like, we're a soccer school now. And so the front, right as you walk into the gym, it was kind of a mixed match of all different trophies, and now there is a soccer specific cabinet, and it is front and center. So
what's that like?
Man, it's been incredible. It's been incredible. It's been absolutely rewarding for sure on my part. You know, I told the boys before the game. I actually kind of mentioned it last night as well. You know, when I became a coach or decided to become a coach right in college, me and my brother used to go to the games, and I remember specifically one year we went to Kennesaw State, and we saw a few games. I do remember McIntosh playing Houston County in the state championship game. But just talking to him, and I was like, man, it would be so much fun just to be in one of these games. Like, not even thinking that was in the realm of possibility, right? Because everybody says they want to be in one, but to actually be in one, to be able to compete, to watch our boys, play their hearts out, and really do everything that we've talked about doing at a high level was very, very rewarding. So.
And you get to do that and basically go into the books for Chatham County, and it's like first ever.
Yeah.
And has that sunk in any way that you are the first ever to do that through Islands as that vehicle?
It is not. Again, moving down here, working at Windsor Forest for a few years, and then at Islands, I've always looked up to when I was at Windsor, I looked up to a program like Islands, right? And you look at all the success that they had and the time that they had it, and you never really realize that it's never been done before until you get so close. And it's like, all right, we're at a Final Four now. Well, we've never, passed this mark. So let's try to make that history. But yeah, just being able to be the first is incredible. It absolutely has not sunken in yet, nor has the state championship. I don't know if it ever will. But now it's on to the next year, I guess.
Well, I mean, you can do that after we finish talking. You just hang on to it for about another, 14 minutes or so.
All right. Sounds good.
When you look back at that game, how many times have you seen the game since you got back, or since the game is over and you've gotten the trophy and everybody got back on the bus and did whatever? How many times have you watched the match from beginning to end since you got home?
In full, probably 6. Wow. In other parts, probably more than that. Yeah, I could probably tell you specific marks where Jason Longshore mentions certain things in the broadcast, and everybody's like, "Hey, how do you know that?" I'm like, "Well, I might have watched it a time or two." Thursday and Friday, most of my classes are senior classes, and I have like 1 or 2 juniors in those classes. And so, for the past week, hold on one second.
Yeah. Somebody's walkie-talkie's going nuts.
Radio going crazy. But yeah, so, I had like 1 or 2 juniors in my class. And so, the past week we've just had it playing on the screen, and I've just constantly, just every few minutes, I'm like, all right, hold on. Oh, goal. All right. And then let's get back to our normal daily part of the class. But yeah, it's been fantastic. It's been fantastic.
What did you think, looking at it these 6 times after the game itself? What did you think about that first 40 minutes?
As a coach, you're still like looking at parts and you're like, man, we should have done a little bit better here. Like, there's spots where, I specifically had, one of my kids, Andrew, in class the other day. And I was like, yes, we scored at this specific spot, but what could you have done better, right? Like, what are some things that we still left on the table? And there were numerous opportunities where, there's still coaching to be had, spots that I felt like we could have been better at. But yeah, it's really hard to, be too negative in the fact that, hey, you came away with a 4-0, first half. And then the second half kind of continued that with adding 2 more on. So not too much to be concerned with, but yeah, just, again, it was awesome, rewarding, and loved every aspect of it.
What did you and the staff learn about yourselves in this run to a state championship this season?
Just to be who we are. Last night we had this fun little kind of watch party back at Coach's Corner. Coach's Corner did a great job of, playing the game for a lot of people here. I reached out to John, the owner, and he said, hey, you know, what would be a great idea is if we could have like a watch party for all the parents who were at the game and the players. So last night at 7:30, we turned the game on and had everybody out there, and they cleared out the outdoor area. We were able to watch the game back. We had the broadcast playing. And then we kind of did our end of the year banquet with that, because normally, you know, we never make this long run, right? So the end of the year banquet is already you know, set in stone. Well,
last change periods. Here we go.
Couldn't really do that because you know, we're in the middle of a state title run. So you know, it was a fantastic event last night, and I forgot your question. I'm kind of rambling, Bill.
No, it's just, you know, what you learned about yourselves as a staff.
Oh, yeah. But so at the end of the year banquet, I mentioned this as well. You know, going into the state championship game on Tuesday, I had numerous coaches call me, hey, this is what you should do. This is what you should, you know, anticipate. And so you know, taking all that in while at the same time trying to be who we are. And so, you know, we get there at Duluth, and I'll just say it wasn't the most ideal locker room that we were set in. And so I was like, well, so our players could be in here for 2 hours and they could spend the entire time realizing how important this game is and just kind of get super focused in that. Or I could treat it as a normal game, right? Where we go outside, we watch the girls' game, and we just have a good time. And so that's what we did. I talked to my assistant coach, and we were like, hey, let's go ahead and just make this an enjoyable atmosphere for the boys. Let's make it to where, you know, they're not super focused on the task at hand, but actually having fun. And so instead of being in the locker room for 2+ hours and really focusing on that, you know, we got there at 4, we hung out for maybe 30 minutes. We went outside and we watched the girls' game, and the boys absolutely loved it. They're sitting in the stands, obviously cheering on both teams, having a blast. There were 2 separate occasions where, you know, GHSA representatives were like, hey, you know, y'all probably want to go in the locker room, get prepared for your game. And I'm like, well, our kids are a little bit different. That's probably not going to be a deal for them. So we stayed in the stands, and, you know, per usual, we're up there, you know, chanting, hollering, and having a blast. And I think that helped really calm the nerves, really allow them to have fun while at the same time kind of soaking in the atmosphere that they're going to experience those next few hours. And then, you know, the same thing with our warm-up. Our warm-ups are usually 45 minutes. And so we get out there and we do the normal kick around, the joking around, the nothing really changed. And I think that allowed us to play free at the very beginning. And, you know, I told them we're not looking for a perfect game. We're looking for an Islands game. We're looking for us to play the best soccer that we know how. And that's obviously going to come with mistakes, but it's par for the course. Just continue to be positive, and we'll go from there.
Yep. And you had a game ahead of yours that went for a while. It went longer than the standard 80. So you could have gone in, you know, 10 minutes to go in regulation. You've still been sitting there for 30 or 40 minutes and then all that stuff. Yep. Marsha Thompson coming up in about 7 minutes. We'll find out what's going on at Trion. So then let me ask you this. Since you came up from Windsor Forest and you're now there at Islands, how has the sport grown there in the Islands community since you first showed up?
Yeah, I mean, so I actually reached out to the former coach that was here before me, Dante Casagrande. He actually moved to the Pacific Northwest in Seattle. Wife got a job, so he took that job, or he went with her. And, you know, I reached out and he was like, hey, congratulations, man, that's awesome. And we were talking back and forth, and he was like, I'm assuming like the school grew in size, like how's things looking? And I was like, well, actually, just the opposite. You know, our school was roughly 1,100 kids. We're now sitting at a little below 700. So our enrollment has dropped considerably. But that doesn't change the fact that our kids have bought in. You know, I've talked to a few different people, right? And I think somebody mentioned this on Twitter or X. I think Jason Longshore mentioned, you know, how grassroots soccer has become, or high school soccer has become really a grassroots thing for the United States. And that's so true in our area. I mean, there are so many kids at our school that have played club but still don't play club because they, see more value in high school soccer. Not that it's better or worse. It's just they value the high school game. Specifically the 4 guys on our back line, 3 of them no longer play club. They just solely play high school. And so, it's very difficult at the beginning of the year because you get kids that haven't touched the ball in 3 or 4 months that come into your program, and you're like, all right, well, we got to start from day one, making sure we get touches every single day, Monday through Friday, as best as we can. But yeah, they buy into the role that they have. They really, play collectively together, and it's panned out very, very well for us.
When you look at high school soccer, what do you think the most important thing is about high school soccer here in the state?
The connectivity, for sure. When I always think of, my years at Henry County Thunder at the time, it changed numerous names. It was Southern Crescent Soccer Club, then it was Henry County Thunder. And then, I ended up having to move clubs because we didn't have enough guys try out that next year. So I went to AFC Lightning and played there for 2 seasons while my brother was at RISA. So it was kind of weird that, I'm playing in Fayetteville, my brother's playing in Rockdale. But, we always looked at club as very competitive, but not as fun, right? It was more of a job, right? You had really tough competition, but you never really got to play with the guys that you grew up with. Whereas with high school, I went to Eagles Landing Middle, then I went to Eagles Landing High. And so every single guy that I played with, I've known since I was 11, 12 years old. And so we grew up together, playing, and it was always so much more fun to me. Well, now it's kind of the same thing with these kids, is where they look at high school as really a connective family, right? And that's one thing that we've bought into. And, I had a coach come out one day just to watch practice, and he was like, man, this is absolutely not how we run our practices. He was like, but I could tell that y'all are all connected. It is really like a fraternity. There's hazing, there's a good hazing in terms of like, it doesn't matter if you're a senior or an upperclassman, you're always going to pick on the freshman, despite the fact that the freshman could be, one of the best starters on the team, and the senior might not have any minutes. The senior is going to always take priority over the freshman and pick on them, and that's just kind of how it has been. So, that's been an enjoyable thing, just a collective group of guys buying in for one common vision.
So then, is there one thing that you would either change or update about high school soccer here in the state? Or is it completely and totally hunky-dory as it is?
I think it's great. I think it definitely could be improved. I think with success becomes or increases the support around high school soccer. My first few years, we didn't get the buy-in from the MLS Next guys. We didn't get the buy-in from the Tormenta guys, right? It was not really a high priority for a lot of those guys. And now I think we're hoping to see a kind of a change in that, to where, the programs can work hand in hand with one another, and, see that, hey, we both can have the success, right? We can see that success for the high school level as well as at club level, if we work together and kind of share those athletes. So again, that's kind of the vision. I hope it continues in that direction.
Well, as always, it's great to see you and great to catch up with you and find out about what's going on over on the coast. We can't thank you enough for this past season. We're going to be knocking on your door sooner than you know, because there is no off season anymore, and Creek Cup will be just around the corner, and everything will be up and running in 27. Congratulations.
Thanks, sir.
Can't thank you enough for everything that you do with us here at SDH and being one of those Eastern voices for us. We will catch up with you soon, my friend. Now you can start thinking about next year.
All right, man. I appreciate it. And thank you for all that you do for high school soccer, man. It definitely doesn't go unnoticed. So we appreciate everything you do.
Thanks, Justin. We'll see you soon.
All right,
Justin Brantley, the head coach at Islands. All right. So I'm going to go like maybe 30 seconds early. Why not? It's not quite. I was going to filibuster to the top of the hour, but I figure why not? 10:59 and something. So it's time to go to Trion and catch up with Marcia Thompson My first question for you: where is the trophy?
How about right here?
Right
Here it is. Actually, our banquet's coming up, so I've got it in my office. It rode in my car overnight that one night. It's too heavy to take in that day. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, look, this is y'all are going to have to come to me first to see if you can touch this thing. Does everybody have to use like white gloves? If it's not you or the team or anything, do they have to wear like the stock white gloves to touch it? You know, that constant shining.
Not that many people have even touched it. We were at a huge parade when we got back, and everybody touched it there. We had fireworks. We had all the emergency vehicles in the world meet us at the state line. It was awesome. So
wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what my other two coaches, we were on the bus coming in. They were like, wow, just wow. And I was like, yep, that's how we do it.
Mm-hmm. And I do want to get into that as we go here, but I want to talk about the match since we didn't get the chance to talk about the match after. You and I talked off camera, but we didn't get the chance to talk on camera about it. And when Luke Winstall and I were on the call upstairs, it was, you could tell in the first half that the heat was getting to both teams.
Wow.
And it was in the 80s, and you're in that bowl, and everything is just beaten down on you. And so you're adding maybe 10 degrees to actual temperature and things like that. How much of a challenge was it to navigate the heat in an environment that you were trying to win a championship in, and you've got this large external factor hundreds of millions of miles away that's creating all these issues?
I mean, it was huge for us because we don't play on turf. I mean, we play on natural grass. Yeah. So, I mean, my athletic trainer actually said there was almost a 20 degrees difference there on the field. And I mean, clearly I subbed more than I normally would. I mean, some of that was an offensive defensive thing. That's a couple times, but some of it was just strictly to sit you down, put a penny that had been in the cooler around your shoulders and give you a little Gatorade and get you back in. But it was a huge factor. I think our fans did a really good job settling the Irwin. I mean, I think they kind of matched each other up. They're both, you know, and so that was helpful to us. I was a little concerned when we let them score first because we had not given up a goal the whole playoffs. And the other goals we had given up were to Model and Northwest and Bremen. And so learning, you know, but my kids, once we went another 10 minutes, I was like, okay, they're not going to let that affect them. We're still playing well. It was a tough matchup.
Yeah. When you see what Coach Brunell has done in building Irwin County and getting them to there, and what you've been doing in building to Trion, I figured that this was going to be, and I'm going to date myself with this reference. I've told folks, I said, look, this is going to be a 15-round heavyweight fight. I don't care what anybody says.
Absolutely.
Now they're 10 rounds and 12 rounds, and I'm like, what is this? Yeah. But it was going to be a 15-round heavyweight fight. When they were down a goal, when you were down a goal, and what were the conversations like to make sure that it's like, we got 40 minutes, everything's fine. You know, we'll navigate all these other external things, but you're down a goal. What were the conversations like?
I mean, at halftime, I mean, that was the conversation. We watched them. I mean, like the seniors watched us. We watched them play Screven at my house. So we had seen them play. I felt like they were going to get a little more tired than we did the second half from what we had seen. Of course, that's the only game we saw because it was blacked out otherwise, which is fine. But I mean, like, that's what we were pumping them up. Look, we're staying hydrated. We're getting y'all in and out, blah, 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 blah. We're still in charge here. You know, that was, were we in charge? No, but that was our speech. And somehow they buy in and they go out thinking we're good. And then Alec, but we had so many opportunities, so many, you know, through balls, long breakaways, and just kick it to the keeper, kick it over the top bar. But they did too. I mean, like our keepers, I mean, both keepers did a great job. You got to give them to that.
No doubt. And the keeper for Irwin dealing with the leg injury late in the first half, and then navigating it through the second half, having to give up goal kick duties and things like that.
Yeah, she did a great job.
and they got a lot of folks coming back. So my 27 spot shadow already has a blue team and a red team that I saw in Thomaston. I'm kind of leaning toward those.
I mean, I am losing 7 seniors, but I started 5 freshmen. So that was good. Again, I give the shout out to my middle school coach, but I mean, they came up ready to play.
When you look at this group of 7 seniors, what sticks in your mind the most?
Just their growth. I mean, they have, even from last year to this year, their leadership on our team was huge. Like if they would say something and everybody was just like, oh, okay, yeah, we can do this. We're okay, you know, or especially back there with that defense, my one senior, Emma Marks, buddy, she could look at them and they knew what they had to do. And so she just kind of held down the fort back there and they listened.
What was the biggest lesson that you and the coaching staff learned about this year?
Wow. I don't know that it's okay to lose, to be in some games and to lose and to learn something from that and to pass that on to them. I mean, losing is awful. Don't get me wrong. We didn't enjoy it. But if you're gaining something out of it, then you're winning. I mean, in the long run, when you're doing that in the regular season where it doesn't matter a hill of beans, but you're gaining something for when you get to the big game to know that you can come behind or that you know that your stamina is going to be there. And I think, I mean, that clearly helped us get through that game. Because there at the end, I mean, my Allie Hudgens, I'd never taken her out of a game, ever. Like, she didn't know what to do, and she went back to the line. I was like, Mr. Official, I'm sorry. She's not been out of a game. But I thought she was going to pass out. So we got her over a couple minutes and gave her a little more Gatorade and got her back in, and she was able to take care of business.
Yeah, that was one of the things that you could tell that when you took Allie out,
right?
She was walking,
yeah, barely,
and that was it. It's like,
yes,
like I'm just walking and I'm taking my time. I know that I only have X amount of time to actually get off the field,
right?
But I'm not doing this in a hurry. She was in the mud. Her tires were spinning, and it was
yes, they were.
To see her and then to go over and get the treatment that she was getting.
Yes.
Obviously, in the back of my head, I'm going, okay, I got to keep an eye on this. I've got to, I'm concerned about this, and let's see where it goes. But I think it speaks to, once again, you mentioned all of those freshmen, and you mentioned all of the other players that were there to help you out. Where if Allie is out, it's like emergency break glass, smash, and then you bring out the axe and the fire extinguisher, and then you got it covered, right?
I mean, we just kept trying to sub in and out, try to make sure things were going to be okay, and she was going to be okay. I mean, and Bailey Blair was kind of the same way. After the game, I pretty much was holding her up. Of course, she weighs like 2 pounds. She's got some long legs, and she's got some speed, but I mean, like, I was just holding her up. She was like, Coach, we did it, but she just couldn't hardly stand up. I'm like, we did it, baby. We're good.
How many different sports have you coached there at Trion?
I started out coaching high school softball.
Mm-hmm.
Then I coached high school tennis,
mm-hmm.
middle school basketball,
mm-hmm.
back to softball. And then, honestly, I started out as the soccer bus driver because my oldest daughter played. And Rachel Edge was the coach, and I started bus driving. And then I was her assistant coach because she needed an assistant. And to me, soccer is basketball with your feet. I mean, if you really think about it, you're looking for the open lanes, you're taking shots. It really is pretty much that. So then now it's just soccer, and I love it. Love it.
Well, and I was having this discussion, in the booth, and I was noticing, to your point, that you were treating those possessions as offense, defense, because you could bring in your faster, smaller players to help you out when you had possession to help build up and go from left to right in the second half. But then when you needed the taller center backs and the taller outside backs to help you out, as Irwin County is chasing after that equalizer with all of that speed and all of that height, I started. The light kind of came on.
You're like, wait a minute, this isn't basketball, but
well, but that's how I was looking. It's like I was
Right.
going. What she's doing is she's doing offensive for defensive substitutions when she's got the ball or when she doesn't. The light kind of came on for me about navigating the heat and then offense for defense, because you saw what Irwin County was doing early in the first half that created
Yes.
the goal opportunities,
Yes.
and then obviously the goal where they took advantage of a height mismatch, and
Yes,
the opportunity
absolutely.
to take the shot and go far post to get
Yes.
the lead. So I was like, okay, she's addressing this. Okay. So for a novice soccer guy like me, the light came on, and I was like, okay, I see what she's doing here.
Yeah.
And
I mean, and it was for both. It was for heat and it was for offense, defense, just because, I mean, we couldn't give up another goal. I just knew we couldn't give up another goal. And I was getting really, until we got that second goal. I mean, like, I didn't feel like we were going to lose, but I thought, I do not know if we have it in us to go to 10 minutes. I mean, 2 more 10 minutes. It just, we were getting tired. We were getting tired. I mean, they were getting tired. We were all, I was worn out, and all I did is pace up and down the sideline. So,
yeah,
I mean, and we did switch up into a little bit more defensive. I did take Bailey Blair out that time and say, okay, you've got 25. We cannot give up a goal. Stay with her. And she was like, oh, is that what you were yelling at me, Coach? Yes, Bailey, that's what I was yelling at you.
So, how has the sport grown there in Trion since you've been the bus driver?
Since I've been the bus driver, a tremendous amount. I mean, like our high school, and it was and it's really the sport. And that's what I try to tell these kids. The sport has grown enough that we can be in a division where we belong. Because like when all my kids were playing, we would end up in the playoffs because we were better than the teams around us. But when we would go to the playoffs, okay, guys, now, I mean, because I don't lie to you. I'm not going to say, oh, we could go in and win this thing. I mean, we went to Fellowship Christian. I was like, if we can make it till halftime without getting mercy ruled, we've won. I mean, in the big scheme of things. And we almost made it. We went to a 20-minute half, and then we made it to the second half. But that's the kind of thing. So the sport in itself has grown enough that we can play people that are on our same level. And that's huge. And around here, there's a lot of soccer that goes on. Our rec department got a grant, and they've got a nice, I mean, like it's not concrete, but not a grass turf out there. I mean, a place where you can play even when it's horrible weather. So, I mean, like it's grown leaps and bounds. And I can't go anywhere without getting a good congratulations right now. I took my daughter's dog to the vet, and I had 3 people, Coach, great job. I was like, thank you. Called out at church, and I go to church in Rome, so it's nice. It's wonderful. It really is.
So then what do you think the most important thing is about high school soccer here in the state of Georgia?
I just think, I mean, like just the camaraderie ship. I mean, like we're a team. I know that there's like 2 of my kids that play club ball, and they're like, it's just not the same, Coach. I mean, like, yes, we're trying to win games, but it's not like we're doing it for our school and everybody's so excited for us. And, everybody's behind us. A fan bus comes to the game to support us. I mean, like, that's awesome. That's what high school soccer is all about.
So then if you were the person in charge of the sport for a day, if you got to the highest point there at the high school, stood on that rooftop.
Oh, wow.
And you were the one who was in charge of the sport in the state of Georgia for a day. You get the crown, the scepter, the robe, the whole thing.
Wow.
If there was one thing you'd like to change or update about high school soccer in Georgia, what would it be?
Wow. I have no idea. I mean, I'm so pleased with where we are. And it's because I was way back there when I was the bus driver to here. I mean, like, I feel like we're on such much more level playing field. Now, I think it's changing up again. I think I'm going back to some private schools in my area. I've not looked, I'm not even going there yet. The boys coach has gone there because he's already emailed me a couple times. But so much better than where we were. And no, I should never be pleased. But right now, I'm pleased from what we've come from to where we are.
I mean, you're a newly minted state champ. You get to enjoy it for at least.
That's right. I am. Of course, I'm trying to get together a banquet. I bribed my seniors not to go stay out all night on senior prank night, so I got to take care of that little bribery, and I got a few things to do. And seniors are already gone. They're not in school. I've just got a couple kids taking some tests, so we're just trying to finish up the end of the year and make it special. I mean, it's hard to. This is special.
And I know that we've talked about it before, but I know that you're looking to, after the World Cup break, come down to Atlanta Stadium and see the soccer team that's currently inhabiting that.
Absolutely. Always a bell. Sorry.
No, it's all good. No, I lived through it, and I lived through it in the DeKalb County school system. I know exactly what's going on.
There you go.
We got another 5 minutes before another one.
Okay.
If memory serves, they give you that 5 minutes to get between classes. Then the second one comes in, and then you get rushed to class, or you get a slip.
Yeah.
With NWSL Atlanta 2028 coming, with the NWSL franchise coming to town,
right.
When that word hit and the announcement hit, what went through your head?
Wow, how great is this? Look at what we're growing everywhere. I mean, that's awesome. I just can't wait.
So then there's this World Cup thing that's happening in like a month. I
don't know if I really want anywhere near that. If you want, I'm kidding.
You'll watch it on TV.
I might watch that on TV. Hey, let's have a watch party, guys.
I mean, that's one way to celebrate. What's going on. If you want, the impact and the legacy of the World Cup. If you think about that, what would you want to see the impact and the legacy be with this World Cup thing?
Just continue the growth. I mean, look at how many people are watching just because it's the World Cup. It's everywhere. That's all you see anywhere. I went in the store the other day to buy my grandson some new Nike socks. Well, here's this whole pack, and it's the World Cup. They're all USA, so of course I had to buy those.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, how amazing! Then everywhere you go, there's something about the World Cup, and it's right here, that close to us, that we can be a part of it, and it just continues to grow. Have
you figured out your designer yet for the championship gear and the rings?
I did get a thing. We're a BSN school. I got some shirts and sweatshirts and all that. I've got a thing on last night.
Okay.
Rings we're supposed to talk about one day this week. My principal actually has 4 rings from wrestling. So I went and looked at his. I was like, oh, that might be a little too big for me. That was kind of like, drag your hand to the ground. Anyway, I don't know. I might could do that. But so we're talking about it. We have not gotten to the ring selection yet. But
you got to the gear selection. And
yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Just checking, because I know I got to add that to my stacks.
Well, we got introduced. It was our spring game on Saturday night. So we all got to go out on the field, and they recognized us. So we had all our state championship shirts on from GHSA. Mm-hmm. That felt pretty good too. So we're a little town, but we do it upright.
That's as always. It's great to see what you're doing there on the FUTBOL side. Like I said, I know what Coach is doing on the FOOTBALL side.
Yes.
I can't thank you enough for hanging out with us and letting us continue to share your story all season long. We're going to be keeping an eye on you, because everything's coming up sooner than you know. But enjoy the championship, and don't think about reclass or anything like that for at least.
I'm going to let that go for a few more days. Thank you for everything you do.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, bye-bye.
Marsha Thompson, the head coach at Trion, she's a champion. She's got the gear. They're working on the rings. I can't wait to see what those rings look like. That's going to be a hoot when that gets all squared away. Okay, that is day one of the Red Clay recaps. Tomorrow, to give you an idea, well, first off, we're catching up with Lucas Kimmel on the girls' side at Thomasville at noon. That's going to air tomorrow. So we're going to go long again tomorrow. We're not quite done yet today, because we've got to get into news and notes and things. Justin Osteen from Pike County off the top. Rob Houston at 9:30 from Greenbrier. Busiest man in show business, Dylan Butler, may be joining us at 10 o'clock to talk Major League Soccer, Open Cup, and all the things. Obviously, we're also catching up with Mike Gramajo from WESH-TV in Orlando, and we're going to get the postmortem to Atlanta and Orlando City tonight. 6:30 pregame, 7:30 kick, 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app. Abe and Maddie. Abe is going to be on in the afternoon in the Dukes and Bell slot, and he's going to be leading that into Maddie. And keep an eye out for Maddie's playlist. You've been warned. 6:30 pregame, 7:30 kick. Mike and Jason down at Inter & Co. in Central Florida. After that full-time report, and we'll see what happens after the quarterfinal. I'm intrigued about what Orlando may look like. So we'll see what that happens with injuries and World Cup rosters and all that kind of stuff. I'm intrigued. So we'll see what the purple team looks like for the matchup tonight. So then also tomorrow, Jason Galt, the head coach at West Forsyth at 10:30. Benjamin Parker, the head coach at Savannah Arts Academy, joining us at 10:45. And then also Molly McCarty from Jefferson is going to be joining us live on tape, much like Lucas Kimmel's going to be joining live on tape, and Mike Gramajo live on tape. So that's tomorrow. And maybe a UPSL update. Thursday, it's Dustin Jeanette from GMC off the top. Then it's Clayton Schmidt from Holy Innocents. Then it's going to be Joe Gold from Decatur FC. He's going to be joining us. The WPSL season kicks in this weekend, so we're going to catch up with him, find out what's going on that side of things. We're also going to try and catch up with Rob Roddy, first chance we get from Georgia Impact. Then the Power Hour on Thursday with Nino and Nico. Chris Doran is going to be joining in added time on Thursday to do opposition research for Atlanta and Columbus, considering that Henrik Rudstrom is no longer head coach. Laurent Courtois and his chaos is. So that's Thursday. Friday is a show of chaos with our friends from Apple TV. I don't know who's coming, and I may not want to know. So we'll find out what that looks like. Okay, let's get into the rest of what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, all the gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we get out of here. There have been a couple of other things that have happened this morning with teams that have been announced. And Scotland has announced their team as well. It looks like Joao Pedro has come out on social media, and he has responded to him not being put on the roster. Ben Jacobs has Enzo Maresca's terms. We'll be getting into that coming up in just a little bit. So what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. That is from our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. And what you get to do there is Libertadores, Sudamericana. That's part of what you get with Fanatis tonight. And you get all of it. You get that. You get AFCON. You get the CAF Champions League. You get all the African qualifiers, regardless of competition. You get all of that. You get TVV out of Venezuela. But if you have cable here in the Atlanta area and your provider and you have the Spanish-speaking package, the Hispanic package, you can get TVV already. CDO out of Chile, TSA out of Argentina, Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru, all the things. You can get it in one place. They're at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. You've also got the makeup games in the Premier League today. BNB en Español simulcasting Libertadores. Fluminense is at 6. Boca Juniors is at 8:30. Sudamericana is at 10. America de Cali and Tigre. Open Cup, CBS Sports Network. The other game, St. Louis City and Houston Dynamo, is at 8 o'clock tonight, which reminds me, I've got to put the picks of the week in the Discord. NBCSN has Chelsea and Spurs at 3:15. It is USA Network with Bournemouth and Manchester City, a must-win game for City at the Vitality at 2:30. Universo simulcasting Bournemouth Man City. Golazo Network has Orlando City and Atlanta United at 7:30. Fox ONE has Serie B and their promotion playoffs. Monza and Juve Stabia at 2. Fox Soccer Plus is simulcasting. Paramount Plus has both of the matchups in Open Cup. Peacock has Premier League with Chelsea and Spurs at 3:15. That's today. Once again, Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. All right, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch and where to watch and all the things. So here is what to know. Madrid has set a date for the Jose Mourinho announcement. Initially, it was going to be after the end of the season. Bruno Andrade and Alex Kirkland this morning before we came on the air, looking to announce him next Sunday or Monday when the La Liga season ends. Madrid hosts Athletic Club at the Bernabeu Saturday night, 9 o'clock. So that would be, I think, 4 o'clock our time. Last match of the 25-26 campaign. 2-year deal has been agreed to. Apparently already saying his goodbyes at Benfica. We'll catch up with Nino and ask him about it coming up on Thursday. Madrid, disappointing season, finishing second to Barcelona, eliminated in the quarters in the Champions League 2 years in a row without a major trophy. Arbeloa was appointed to replace Xabi Alonso, And Florentino Perez has now turned to Mourinho, who he praised last week for increasing Madrid's competitiveness, building the foundations for the club's success. Sources told the four-letter that Perez is so set on appointing Mourinho, Madrid's presidential elections are not expected to lead him to delay the announcement. Perez called elections last week, potential candidates having until the 23rd to enter the race. Perez has already said he will stand for re-election. Enrique Riquelme said on Monday he said he would decide in 2 or 3 days. If Perez has no opposition, he'll be re-elected automatically. If Riquelme were to stand and be adjudged to meet the requirements, a 2-week election campaign follows. Sources told the four-letter Perez was therefore considering including a clause in Mourinho's contract which would allow Riquelme, were he to win the elections, to opt not to stick with Mourinho and move on to another candidate. Monday, Mourinho apparently verbally agreed to a deal, paperwork yet to be signed. So that's the latest on Jose Mourinho. That is true, Bart. I don't think anyone has done a proof of life check on Mike and Jason. Well, Mike actually came back. So Jason has been down there the entire time. Mike actually had to come back because he had some things to attend to back here in Atlanta, and he's coming. I think he went down first thing this morning. So he was there for Saturday night, went back, I think first thing Sunday morning, flew back today. So Cristiano Ronaldo has been named to a record 6th Portugal World Cup squad. And let's see. So Diogo Jota will be on everyone's mind, according to Roberto Martinez, when the team tries to win for the first time. 41-year-old Ronaldo and 26 other players were named. So if you think about it, it is the last World Cup for Neuer, Modric, Neymar, Messi, and CR41. Literally, that's what you're looking at. Keepers, Diogo Costa, Jose Sa, Rui Silva, Ricardo Vello. Defenders, Ruben Diaz, Joao Cancelo, Diogo Dalot, Nuno Mendes, Nelson Semedo, Mateus Nunez, Gonzalo Inacio, Renato Vega, Tomas Araujo. Midfield. Only 6 in the midfield. Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Vitinha, Joao Neves, Ruben Neves, and Samu Costa. Forward, CR41, Rafa Leao, Joao Felix, Gonzalo Ramos, Pedro Neto, Conceição, Guedes, and Trincao. That's the Portuguese roster. So no real shocks. 27 and there. So Bart, as a public service, if you would, somewhere in either in Discord or Twitch Pitch or socials, address the Kai Havertz play that was not adjudicated to be a red yesterday. So that was raising a lot of eyebrows from the Burnley folks. 1-0 win for Arsenal. That much closer to winning a title. And once again, it's a must-win situation for Manchester City today. So here are your trending rumors. United and Chelsea firmly in the mix to sign Karim Adeyemi, with Dortmund willing to let the forward go this summer, according to Team Talk. Stalled on contract negotiations with Dortmund. Contract deal runs out next summer, open to allowing him to leave for around 60 million to 70 million euro to avoid losing him on a free. United believe Champions League football makes them a stronger candidate to sign Adeyemi. Chelsea made contact with his reps. Liverpool monitoring him, PSG holding interest. Manchester United might not be done with Dortmund. United interested in fullback Julian Ryerson, according to Sky Germany. United want to sign a backup option for Diogo Dalot, although signing the 28-year-old would rely on Nusser Mazraoui leaving Old Trafford. The Norway international has a contract that runs through 28. Dortmund are happy with him, so it would take an offer worth over 30 million euro for the Bundesliga club to let him leave. Liverpool remain interested in Inter Milan right back Denzel Dumfries, having looked at the Netherlands international back in January, according to Nicolo Schira. 25 million euro release clause in the Inter contract in action between July 1st and July 31st. Dumfries has been key for Inter, helping them win Champions League final, lifting Serie A this year. Xabi Alonso joining Chelsea, seen a change in starting keeper. Mike Pender's no longer on course to be the number one, according to Team Talk. They're looking at AC Milan's Mikey Magnon, Brighton's Bart Verbruggen, Sunderland's Robin Roofs. Concerns about lack of elite-level experience. They also have a keen eye on Jordan Pickford, Atalanta's Marco Carnesecchi, and Porto's Diego Costa. AC Milan could move to sign Juve striker Dusan Vlahovic as a free if they qualify for Champions League, according to Calcio Mercato. Milan are third in Serie A ahead of Roma on goal difference. 2 points in front of both Como and Juve with a match to play. Signing him could still rely on Allegri remaining with the club. Vlahovic has a clear desire to play Champions football next year. Other rumors. Chelsea ready to offload Liam Delap with Newcastle, Everton, Brighton, Sunderland, Ipswich, all interested. Team talk. L'Equipe. Monaco could look to renegotiate deals to re-sign Wout Faes and Simon Adingra when their loans from Leicester and Sunderland, respectively, end, despite having clauses giving them the option to make deals permanent for €7.5 million on Faes and €17 million on Adingra. Nicolas Schira. Al-Sadd ready to reopen talks to re-sign Lazio center back Alessio Romagnoli. Foot Mercato. Toulouse want to sign Paul Nardi as a free with the keeper QPR contract ending in June. The Times have Inter Milan considering renewing their interest in Liverpool midfielder Curtis Jones. Galatasaray from Patrick Berger have made contract with Julian Brandt about signing the attacking midfielder as a free agent when his Dortmund contract ends. Sky Germany. Dortmund is looking at Hertha Berlin's Kenneth Eichhorn, Arsenal's Ethan Wannieri, Nacional's Samuel Martinez, Brighton's Matt O'Reilly, Red Star Cervena Zvezda's Vasily Kostov, and Lille's Matias Fernando Pardo. Newcastle striker William Osula has interest from Everton, Villa, and Bundesliga clubs, according to the I paper. Celta de Vigo's Oscar Mingueza is on Everton's radar as they look to replace Seamus Coleman. That's from Team Talk. Luciano Geertruida wants to stay in the Premier League once his loan from Leipzig to Sunderland ends. Everton is interested. Football Insider. Werder Bremen want €20 million for the transfer of keeper Mio Backhaus. Newcastle, Freiburg among the clubs interested, becoming more active in it. Florian Plettenberg. Also from Florian Plettenberg, concrete talks ongoing as Monaco keep pushing to sign Cercle Bruges left back Nazinho. Stuttgart are also interested. Nicolas Schira. Como interested in winger Lorenzo Venturino, who's on loan from Roma from Genoa. Sky Germany. Borussia Mönchengladbach held a concrete interest in Hanover midfielder Enzo Leopold. So that's your rundown of all of the rumors that we have on the board. Let's see. So Ben Jacobs on Maresca's terms. So let's see what quickly. I knew we were going to go long. I knew we were this morning. So let's see. Chelsea received compensation due to Maresca's move to Manchester City. He can start regardless of whenever it's agreed. The Italian is personally endorsed by Pep. Spurs, Real, Juve, Milan, all called Jorge Mendes, but nothing had developed. Maresca only wanted City. And the terms were already in place as of very, very early this morning. Also an agreement now in place for Chelsea for Valentin Barco to join from Strasbourg, likely to be made official at the end of the season. Valentin Barco had confirmed he was leaving in the summer. And so that had happened on his social media as well. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Inside World Football. I got to check on this. Remember the story we were talking about yesterday involving the yes, verifying it's me. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me. So hang on. So that's there. That is correct. Why am I having to log into my email that's a part of the system? Okay, so a couple of things. South American football boss Alejandro Dominguez facing an ethics complaint at FIFA over allegedly misappropriating funds. New York Times reporting the CONMEBOL president under investigation following a complaint by a whistleblower. It is senior officials at FIFA have been aware of the complaint made to the organization's ethics committee for more than a year. FIFA received $201 million from the World Football Remission Fund, a program established by the FIFA Foundation after the money was recovered by the DOJ from corrupt officials accused of bribery and racketeering. Gianni Infantino has repeatedly stated, according to Inside World Football, that every penny is accounted for. CONMEBOL previously reached a full settlement with the family of its late former president, Nicolas Leoz, who was indicted by authorities in the U.S. prior to his death in 2019, included the return of more than $50 million to the Confederation. Dominguez was a longtime associate and supporter of Leoz, one of the key figures in the FIFAgate case in South America, currently serves as a FIFA vice president, also chaired the finance committee at the World Federation, previously sat on the compensation committee, which sets Infantino's salary and benefits. South American official influential native country Paraguay hosted the FIFA Congress in 24, one of the co-hosts in the World Cup in 30. Inside World Football reported last November, claims FIFA had cleaned house after the scandal in 15. Forensic investigation into CONMEBOL by auditors Ernst & Young named the official. The probe back in 17 named Dominguez having received at least $374,000 without supporting documentation, examining 20,000 documents. So there is that involving FIFA and CONMEBOL. You also have, where is it? The West Ham relegation could cost London taxpayers £2.5 million annually if West Ham is relegated due to the rent structure of the club's lease agreement at London Stadium. Club pays Greater London Authority approximately half its current annual rent of £4.4 million if they're relegated. Shortfall combined with reduced commercial revenues and higher stewarding costs has a longer championship season falls to London taxpayers who already contribute to operating costs. So keep an eye on that one if West Ham ends up getting relegated. Also, PSG's extended their partnership with Accor. K's TV has added La Liga rights in Brazil. Now, in Guardian. All right, so it was the Matt Hughes piece. And this is something probably for reffing down here a bit. You have, where is it? Matt Hughes this morning. UEFA is not going to follow FIFA's lead on red cards for mouth covering or walk-offs. The rule is not going to apply in European competitions. UEFA will monitor the automatic red card rule in the World Cup. They've opted against following FIFA's lead, and the regulations were approved last month. After prompting from FIFA, they'll take effect on June the 1st. UEFA's decision means they're not going to apply in the Champions Leagues or its other competitions. So UEFA has basically said, IFAB has not mandated the rule changes be enforced in all comps. UEFA's executive committee is going to meet for the final time this season in Istanbul tomorrow. Understood no regulation changes are on the agenda. Club comps committees sign off next week on regulations for men's and women's tournaments in Leipzig. No significant changes expected. Sources said the referees committee would monitor the impact of the new regulations during the World Cup with a view to discussing potential changes next year. So that is from Matt Hughes and The Guardian. I'm going to catch my breath. That's a show, people. Once again, Juice Boxes tonight. It is involving Atlanta United and the Purple Team and St. Louis City and the Dynamo. 2 Open Cup matchups. Just to give you an idea about the numbers. Purple Team slightly favored at a plus 135. 90-minute draws a plus 275. Atlanta United's a plus 160. St. Louis City favored at home at the Pink Palace at a plus 110. Draws a plus 254. Houston Dynamo's a plus 204. So there you go. Those are your numbers. And that's a show. It's a boatload of people. It was Jose Rodriguez from Meadowcreek, Matt Cheeves from Dalton, Robert Peterson from Thomasville, Johnny Jackson from Blessed Trinity, Kelly Bowler from Johns Creek, Justin Brantley from Islands, Marcia Thompson from Trion, Mike Gramajo from WESH-TV to discuss Open Cup. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. 7 more coaches tomorrow and Mike Gramajo, and we'll let you know about Open Cup and all the things. So 6:30 pregame, 7:30 3-kick on Golasso Network and 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. That's long. All right, so let me thank everybody who hopped in and broke everything down. Bart says should have been a red. Very lucky he finished out the match. Do you think the decision not to give a red was because the lack of force of the tackle? But still, there was a lot of force there. So morning Bart, morning Catalucci, morning David, morning Olivia James, morning Ricky, morning to all of you, and enjoy the rest of your day because it's going to be an interesting night. Quarterfinals, Open Cup, Atlanta United trying to maintain the momentum that they had basically for 45, 65, 70 minutes late. Got your equalizer. What does Orlando City look like tonight? What does Atlanta look like tonight? We'll have our answers coming up starting around 6:30. So for everybody here, from everybody here, to all of you there, thanks to all the coaches. More coaches tomorrow in the Red Clay wrap-ups. Mucha Platiel, play it safe. And since it is the end of the show, that means we get to do this. See you in a bit.